Like,
if your opponent plays Infernal Tutor and you're like, yes,
yeah, let me do it. Let me take a sip first on that Infernal Tutor, and then let me think if I'm gonna spell snare that or force it.
I remember like back in the like 2009, we were talking about, hey, what spell snare is such a good counterspell. What can you counterspell? And we were like listening. I don't know, like. What did people play back then? Confident, Counterbalance, Meddling Mage, yeah. And then one of the guys, like we were thinking about 2 mana spells, and one of the guys was like, oh yeah, and also Daze. We were like, yeah, it also counters Daze. Like, wait.
You know what? I think I spell studded Daze twice in my life. And the first time everyone was like, Caleb, what the fuck are you doing? We're meant to be like properly testing for Eternal Weekend.
Okay, so here's a hot take, but I think like every single Legacy player who's on blue has done that at some point, or like Pyroblaster Daze.
It grew my Thermoglyph actually.
I guess there's like a world where it makes sense, like 1 out of 10,000 times when you want to increase the storm count or something, and
or
you
like
have Flusterstorm in hand.
Casting through time.
Sure.
We're reaching
all right. Okay.
I don't want to pay 1 mana. I also want to discard a card for it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anyway,
that's how it works.
Yeah, this is the podcast where we can turn all the garbage plays into actual big brain plays. So
which energy drink would Storm players drink, do you think?
Oh man, like the darkest one, like Monster Energy.
Monsters?
Is Monster Energy really dark? Because like I see it everywhere.
And the label is kind of black.
Oh, that's how it works. Like the darker the label, the more hardcore it is.
All right, let us know, dear listeners, if you what the Storm players drink.
Yeah. If they still exist. By the way, hello and welcome to Everyday Channel number 180, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly Legacy podcast. If you want to support the running of the show directly, you can support us on patreon.com/everydaychannel. And guys, this is one of our History Channel episodes. It's been, when I was like editing this episode, I was like, remember like just the other year we had this great episode where we looked at the first 7 legacy bands in the history in a format. We also looked into the inception of the format. And as I was researching this, turns out this was 4.5 years ago. COVID had just started, and I still can't believe that it's been that long. Like, time flies. I think neither of you was a host at that time, right?
Nope. Not yet.
No,
we were all sick. So
that's how it worked, right? Yeah, back then we recorded with Matt Pavlik and Marius Hausmann, and it's still one of my favorite episodes. We're gonna link it in the show notes, and also I guess if you're on everyday-eternal.com or -eternal, I don't know, you on our website, you can still find it. It's episode number 74, and it's, I want to say, one of our most researched, most well-reviewed, most beloved episodes. And during that episode, guys, okay, I guess I already put it in here. If you close your eyes, can you name the first 7 cards that were banned in Legacy? Ever since it became a format in 2004?
I've got them right in front of me, so
I got the list in front of me too. It's just so...
I believe if you close your eyes, neither of you can tell all 7 of them.
No, so I wouldn't have got 2 or 3 of them.
Okay, guys, seriously, I want you to close your eyes and I want to try to guess them. Close them right now.
It doesn't work because I've seen them, I promise.
You really can tell all 7 by seeing them?
No.
Oh, how big is your brain?
For the listeners or me?
So I think like survival is kind of intuitive. Like I really looked at the list, but like a survival of the fittest, like for me is because that card got banned before I got into Legacy. I think like very shortly before I got into Legacy, and I've been playing Legacy for I don't know, just so many years now. And survival is like it's so disappointing because it looks such a fun card to play. And I never got to play it, especially with Vengevines. I think Caleb Durward killed that card on GP Columbus.
Caleb, it's totally his fault. Yeah, on this list, I think I would have definitely got Survival and Mental Misstep. I'm pretty sure I would have remembered Flash and Mystical Tutor, but Time Vault and Imperial Seal and Charizard, I don't think I would have got. So
Time Vault is really, Time Vault is wild, have thought right?
I would have thought it's... See, the thing is, I know about the history with Flame Fusillade, so I think I might have remembered.
There's even more history to it. Honestly, okay. You guys might, if you enjoy like the history of Time Vault, let's
do a Time Vault episode.
Yeah, well, that episode number 74, we actually talk a little bit about the history of Time Vault and Legacy in the Eternal formats, because there's more to it than just Flame Fusillade.
Is it? Okay.
I think we also talk about the errata of it, because that changed so many times. And I just stole most of that content from an article published back then on, I want to say Planet MTG, which used to be, actually, does Planet MTG still exist? Planet MTG.
See, I'm a legacy baby, really, because I didn't play with Survival. I was taking a break during Mental Misstep, but I know about that. That was like when I started getting interested again. Mystical Tutor, I didn't play then. As I said, Time Vault was completely light before me. Charizard, I definitely wouldn't have remembered or guessed. Flash, I probably would have remembered just because I know that Goblins won the GP with Owen Turnwald, I think. And then Imperial Seal.
With Patron of the Aki.
Doesn't even exist in my head because I think the card's terrible, but hey.
Well, it's the first card that was ever meant Legacy, so how terrible can it be?
Pretty bad.
You know, it's interesting. We always talk about, or at least I like to make a point, that in the history of Legacy, no card has ever been unbanned and then banned again. Which, when people talk about like Entomb being in the on the horizon of maybe bans at some point.
Unbanned top.
No. The thing is, technically, Imperial Seal started out banned in Legacy, then became unbanned, then became banned again. The reason nobody talks about that is because Imperial Seal wasn't like unbanned in the traditional sense, but rather at some point, I'm trying to remember, it must
some people just played at events and not give you a fuck.
I want to say it was like October 2005, because that's basically where I went to my first Legacy event ever. And that's where Wizards allowed Portal Second Age and Portal 3 Kingdom to become Legacy legal. And part of that was Imperial Seal. And then shortly after, they were like, let's not play this.
So it wasn't banned, it just wasn't in the format.
It wasn't in the format, right? So I guess it depends on whether you want to view that as being banned, because I guess it's not legal, right?
Yeah, I would say that's different. Yeah.
Have you ever been banned from this country? No, but I've also never had like a legal visa. I guess Imperial Seal didn't have a legal visa, but it was not banned. Yeah. You get the idea, right?
That.
And Flash, Flash is the one everybody knows about, even if they hadn't played Legacy back then. Just the same way you know about, let's say, World War II. You haven't been there, but you heard about it, right? And that's what Flash is to Legacy.
Yeah.
I think Charizard is like, whatever, dude. Seriously. It's like...
I would never, ever have got Charizard because I would have assumed that it started banned, so...
Oh. So there was a time in Legacy where people played like Charizard mirror games then.
I like how you actually have the proper pronunciation.
Well done, Kai.
So yeah, like I'm surprised that Time Vault is on this list. I thought Time Vault is, because it's such an expensive card too, I thought it got banned, like it started out banned together with the Power 9 altogether. Because I didn't get a reprint after Unlimited, I think. And again,
actually, I still remember Time Vault in 2010, at least in Germany, a white bordered version or something. Was there white border versions? No, you actually make me wonder because you said unlimited. Anyway, so back then I was considering buying a Time Vault at an event, and my friend said, no, it's like 150 euros. Why would you ever do that? And now I'm actually scared to. Okay, I'm too curious.
Oh, dude,
how much is Time Vault?
Expensive, very expensive.
Really?
Yeah, and it's restricted too. Like, because I'm thinking like if there was a time where people played 4 copies of Time Vault in the Legacy decks.
Yeah.
Sheesh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so the unlimited one starts at 700.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably one that has been chewed up by a dog or something. Yeah, okay.
My favorite.
Poor.
My favorite condition.
Yeah. Otherwise known as Italian near mint. Sorry, I love you Italians.
Yeah, the other ones, they started like 900 to 1,000.
Yeah. You know, like about card grading, just really quick, like there's like this one card grade phrase in Italy that only exists in Italy, and that goes like, "Oh, looks nice in sleeve." You know, it's like what do you mean? What do you mean looks nice in sleeve?
Playable.
Every card looks good in a sleeve, I think.
I have an Ensnaring Bridge, like a Stronghold one, that is it goes in a sleeve, but you have to take about 10 minutes sliding in there very carefully, otherwise it just is going to disintegrate. So I'm waiting for it to happen one day. So that's
what, is it ripped in 2 pieces or what?
No, I think it got water damage, and then it's just like it feels almost hollow, like it's really, it just feels like it's going to fall apart in your hands. So I'm going to bring it next time I see
fake.
No, it's definitely not fake, because otherwise it would have not got like how it is. I don't know what happened to it. It was given to me by a friend, and it's like the 4th one, so I don't have a reason to get another bridge until I play Lantern again. But it's just like there, and it's just
That's
almost
so cool,
dead.
dude. That's so cool, dude. Like your opponent, you just don't shuffle my deck all that much, and like my deck might crumble.
You gotta like condition? Quad sleeve this.
Oh god,
I don't know. I'll bring it to Eternal Weekend to show you.
You know, by the way, I can already tell like how we're excited about all of these cards, talking about them, because there's like so many stories around them, and I can very much urge anyone who's interested in this kind of stuff and wants to hear about it, go back to episode number 74, the first 7 legacy bands, where we tell a lot of stories all about these cards.
106 episodes ago.
Yeah,
it's quite a lot.
Yeah, dude, we're getting close to the 200. I still haven't had any, like, how far away is 200? That's like 20, so that's like 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like right around my birthday next year.
Okay.
Let's have a party in a
Paris
maybe we should do like a live recording or something for 200.
That'd be cool.
Sounds
too.
good.
That'd be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, we go to like a cruise ship or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of which, dude, you know, okay, now we gotta talk about the first card. You know, like you just mentioned cruise.
Oh, dude, the perfect segue.
Yeah, can we? Yeah.
That wasn't even intended.
Nice.
Yeah, this is actually kind of crazy, right? Because today we're going to talk about the next 7 legacy bands, which happened over a span of, let me quickly check, 5 years. Whereas the first one happened over a span of 2004 to 2011, 7 years. Okay, it's actually not that crazy, but it gets crazy afterwards, because as we were preparing, I think Callum or Kai, you said, oh, and once we have the next 7 legacy bands, then we can do another history episode some point in the future. And I'm like, dude, we already had like...
We've got the next 10 years
7 bands. Yeah, so the last one, so quickly where we left off was, I want to say, was it September 2011, when Mental Mischief was banned and the world was turned on its head. And then GP Amsterdam happened, and the rise of Maverick, and the trifecta of like, you know, Esper Stoneblade, Rock Delver, and Maverick, and then also some of the Show and Tell variants. Hive Mind, I think, was a deck back then. Ad Nauseam was like, people started discovering that Gitaxian Probe works really well with cable therapy. Who would have thought? Well,
was no rug a big thing then as well? Because I always look back thinking that's cool.
No rug was a thing. One of the big things before Mental Mischief was banned.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the best deck in Mental Mischief era.
Yeah, I was look at that one thinking, God, that deck is sweet.
Yeah. It was like the bug Planeswalker control deck that Channel Fireball played. Then there was No Rock, which I want to say which I played, and I guess also thousands of other people. But to me, it was like, oh, dude, this deck taught me so much about how to play Magic. It's the only deck that could pull off 4 Vendilion Click and make it work, because it had so many uses for it, even on yourself. And yeah,
we need to do an episode just like gushing about how Click is the most perfect card.
It's probably my favorite creature of all time. Like I like to go on about Rock Swarmmonk and that kind of stuff, but yeah, Click is something else.
Does so many cool things. Anyway.
So here we are now, 4 years later, more like 3.5 years later. It's January 2015. Currents of Tarkir had been released the previous autumn, fall. I still don't remember, like the cultured people, do they say fall or autumn? Autumn, I believe. Yeah,
I say
because leaf fall down. We call it leaf because leaf fall down. So okay. And yeah, one of the most horrible, terrible cards on the face of the earth. And unlike other cards, you know, like Top or Dig Through Time, like there are a lot of cards that are really divisive, and people have like very different opinions on them. I have yet to meet somebody who's like, dude, I wish Treasure Cruise was back.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ponyback Brigade, but okay. My favorite cons card.
I actually enjoy Treasure Cruise quite a bit, but I think I'm gonna out myself if I say it too often here on this cast. But Treasure Cruise was wild. Was wild. I think like I can tell you a little bit of a story. Like back in my legacy group, like we were talking about, oh, this is maybe like a fine 1-off or 2-off. You know, you can maybe splash it into like one of your decks, but then like it quickly became like the engine spell. And like, you know, I think we also played like Thought Scourers and like anything that puts something into your graveyard as quickly as possible.
Mental Misstep as well.
Well, that got banned,
not
right?
Mental Note, sorry.
Oh man, maybe so. Yeah.
Like I'm not even sure Mental Note was like a big thing back then. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Sorry, can I go on?
No, because it was all about resolving as many treasure cruises as possible, right? And like Monastery Swift Sphere was like the secret like Giga Tarmogoyf all the time for, you know, at least like 4 or 5 or sometimes 5, 6 or so with haste, because you played like so many spells per turn.
Probe as well still.
Oh yeah, it was disgusting, and that was the only time I think in Legacy history when a Delver deck was actually faster than an Ad Nauseam Tendrils deck, because that would we tested this matchup like crazy, and there were games when Blue Red Delver killed on turn 3.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that.
Like double Swift Spear and two
and then I think we played like a Fire Blast too, and it was just so much damage.
That's what's crazy about it. Like, it was so fast, but then you could play this game to turn 20 against Miracles, no problem, because you would just play cruisers.
Yeah, also Young Pyromancer was a big thing in those decks, right? You guys remember that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my biggest memory of Cruise was when it was like spoiled or whatever. Is it Carsten Linden that wrote the article about it?
I think it was Carsten Cotter. I actually wanted to get to that.
Right.
If you want to, otherwise I can tell the story.
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Okay, so the card was spoiled, and people saw Delve, and we were trying to get like a feel for like what kind of Delve cost is reasonable and everything, and nobody really know. And then Carsten Cotter, like a giant of Magic writing, who unfortunately had to leave the game for personal reasons, and he had this new crazy idea that nobody had ever done before, apparently. He decided, okay, the card has been spoiled, but it's not out yet. I'm just gonna proxy it and play a couple of test games and then write an article about it. You know, we were like, whoa, dude, like, this guy is serious about his content. Like, he's just like not phoning it in. It's like, no, not at all. And he did that. He tested it. And people were like, yeah, Treasure Cruise is fine, but you know, the dive cost is like, it's pretty high. And he came back and he literally just said, this card is gonna get bad. It's not even funny. Like, this is completely transformational. This changes everything about how you play the game. If you think it's good, it's even better. And yeah, he was very much right about it, right?
Totally. I remember that so vividly. So only because nothing to do with this idea of this episode, but about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went and read that article again for no reason other than I was just like interested in it, popped in my mind. And then linked to it was some Reddit threads when it came out. And yeah, people were saying, and probably myself included, was like, yeah, I can see 1, maybe 2, but like, what if you draw the second one within the first 8 cards? And I do get where they're coming from. This was a new thing. Like, Tombstalker was the first thing like it, and well, it was bad to draw multiples as well, really. So there was most people. I vaguely remember me feeling like this as well, and then I remember reading his article before coming out, and I was like, you know what, this guy's really good. Let's give it a try. And yeah, his article was just basically, he said one Delver deck had Treasure Cruisers and the other one didn't, and I think he said that it went like 19-1, and the one loss was because of Mana Screw.
Yeah,
I think.
I can imagine that. Also, now that you bring up Tombstalker, it's actually interesting when you think about it. Like, if you cast Tombstalker, it gets a lot harder to cast another Tombstalker. Whereas if you play Treasure Cruise, it's like you depleted your graveyard, but the Treasure Cruise itself makes it a lot easier again to cast more Treasure Cruises like soon after, right? It's not rare that you like cast Treasure Cruise and then cast another Treasure Cruise on the next turn.
Because like the cruise goes in the graveyard, and then you've drawn 3 cards that will probably hit your graveyard as well.
Yeah.
And so like the deck could just use Force of Will so well, it was disgusting. Like, yeah. So yeah, the deck it kind of built itself as well, right? Swift Spear was also the sleeper, as you said, Julian, but it was just Delver, Swift Spear, and Young Pyromancer. Yeah. And that was it. And then it was just Probe, Treasure Cruise, Cantrips, Force of Will, Bolts. Yeah. And then played like 2 Chain Lightning and maybe 1 Fire Blast sometimes. But yeah, it was just a crazy deck because I think it played like 2 Pyroblast main deck towards the end of it. And then people started subbing in Stoneforge Mystic for the mirror, right? There was a huge GP where like Jeskai Stoneblade with
Brian Brown doing.
I was there. Yeah. That was GP New Jersey 2014. Was
that the 3,000 people one?
4,400 something.
Ridiculous.
Oh, my lord.
yeah. Was that where they didn't have enough tables or something?
No, they had more. They had prepared for a couple thousand more people. So like, I want to say like a third of the hall was actually empty. But it was like, I want to say like 2 airplane hangars, kind of like size wise. Like I've never been to an indoor space that was that big. And there were like no walls or anything. It was just like one giant indoor space. And yeah, that was the first time I was in the US. And unfortunately for me, Elves wasn't that great back then, just because you tried to like do something to the deck, but they also had like so much mass removal and everything. They didn't really care about the deck.
Electrickery, right?
Yeah, it also like that was pretty good in the mirror, right? If you kicked it, then you know what Elves sometimes did, and I saw that at the GP. I saw some Elves players do it, and at that point I fully realized, okay, this can't go on.
You're gonna say Leyline of Life Force?
No, yeah, I tried that. Okay,
nice.
Actually, no, Leyline of Life Force is the one that makes the creatures uncounterable. I meant Leyline of Vitality.
Right, the one that's +0
+1, and you get 1 life and something comes. Yeah, no. So I saw some elves players play Golgari Charm, and I was like, dude, like we are playing elves, like -1/-1 to our creatures, and this is what we do.
But it's for regenerate?
Yeah, it's degenerate, no?
It completely degenerate.
Yeah, no, regenerate your team?
-1/-1 to all creatures. Golgari Charm.
Yeah,
because you wanted to get rid of young Pyromancer and all the tokens because you could never attack past it. Because
you
one
could
of
also
the ways,
regenerate against Electrickery.
Yeah, but that was like, that's not really where you played it.
That's not cool enough.
Yeah, that's not good enough. I was like, if you regenerate, you have to tap all your stuff. That's not cool, right? No. A lot of people actually don't know this, right?
No.
If you regenerate a creature, you have to tap it.
Yeah. Yes. So during Treasure Cruise days, so Julian, you were elves and anything else?
Well, I mean, Miracles was still like one of the top decks in the format.
Yeah, obviously you were playing Miracles then as well.
No. I played elves. I completely played elves the entire time. Cool. That was like, I want to say in 2013 they made the change to Cradle, right? That you could like go cradle to cradle, and from there until then, like that was like the time of Shardless, Elves, Miracles, and then some combo decks. And then Treasure Cruise came in and completely busted everything up.
Yeah. So for people who don't know the old Legend rule, it was if you played like a second guy's Cradle, they'd both die. Or could you just not play one? I can't remember now.
You could, but they would both die. Basically, like a common thing was like if your opponent had like Umisawa's Chitter, you played your own Chitter as removal.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you'd play Jace Beleren, and then before they Jace
then
the
your opponent couldn't cast Chase the Mindsculptor. Yeah, that's what they did in Strasbourg 2013.
Yeah.
Raphael Levy, I think, did that actually.
And Kai, what were you playing?
So I think I was an Ad Nauseam Tendrils back then, but it wasn't the best deck in the format. And
Adam was meant to be quite good against it, right?
Second?
Adam was meant to be quite good against it, I think.
It was fine. Like, I think we got to talk about the next card in a bit, but Treasure Cruise was not actually that good for Ad Nauseam Tendrils because it incentivized people to play faster decks, I think, like Blue-Red Delver.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes, like if Delvers kills you on turn 3 or turn 4 and has like a Forcible or 2, like they don't need to like stop your combo. They can just like chip in for enough damage. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a Forcible, like a random Lotus Petal or Dark Ritual, like the first ritual you cast.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you have to pass the turn and you die.
Mm-hmm.
So it was relatively fast. Miracles was not a good matchup by any means. It was a really fun matchup, but definitely not the best one. So like, I don't know what was the best combo deck during Treasure Cruise era because I don't think
was like Tom Ross on Infect. That was a force.
Oh,
if that counts as a combo deck. That's more like a tempo deck to me. But yeah.
Right, but there was no combo deck that played 4 Treasure Cruises, I think.
No, I don't think so.
No, we get as you mentioned, when we get to the next card,
I mean, right. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much that. Well, I guess we can quickly go over like why they banned it. Do you guys want to add up another story or something?
I was just going to say, so during this time, this was when I was playing Shardless and getting wrecked by Ren's Run Packmasters. And then I knew you'd enjoy that. And then, with Treasure Cruise coming out, like Shardless just struggled with Delver so much against Treasure Cruise. So I kind of moved to Miracles around this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a bit of a Miracles gamer during this time.
Also, this was like an all-time low on discard, right? Like, why would you want to Thoughtseize your opponent if they keep Treasure Cruising? Yeah. Terrible.
I was playing Shardless without any hymns or Thoughtseizers. Yeah.
They give them like Lotus Petals, kind of.
Yeah, true. Cool. But yeah, do you want to say why the card was banned?
Yeah, I think we can very quickly go over that. I copied some of the quotes from the article, which actually were
I think it's
easier
to
find for these ones.
Yeah.
So I guess we can take turns. I'm going to take this one. So I want to add that, by the way. This is super interesting. I didn't realize this. Treasure Cruise might be the card that was banned in the most formats simultaneously. Like sometimes, they ban something in Modern, then like half a year later they ban it in Legacy and eventually gets restricted in Vintage. No, Treasure Cruise, they released it, they saw it, and they went like, banned in Modern, banned in Legacy, restricted in Vintage. Like, let's not have a card like this anywhere because this is just completely broken. Yeah. Just want to say this. I don't remember any card that was hit that hard. Other than if you want to count like really weird fringe formats and then, whatever. So they had this general philosophy that they put in front of all the bans, and there was the decks that draw cards so efficiently push out many other decks, limiting the field to strong decks that best use those card draws, and decks that don't play in interactive games with those strong decks. In that case, the best option might be to ban the overly efficient card draw, which is interesting, right? Because I feel like a lot of times they just like ban the powerful stuff that was going on. But in these blue-red Delver decks especially, like there was nothing single powerful going on. Like Pyromance is a crap card almost in a way. Like nobody's going to ban Pyromance. So it's really just like the efficiency and the raw card draw that made this deck broken. And that reminded me a lot of something. And if you've been playing for a long time, maybe you can guess along at home or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Another deck that had an insanely strong card draw engine, not in Legacy, and then used that card draw engine to play a bunch of crap. So the only thing they could ever do was to ban the card draw engine, because like nobody's ever gonna ban Order of the Even Hand.
Necropotence?
Yeah, exactly.
Took me a second there. Yeah.
They had like all these, these I want to say black weenie knights and stuff, and they were running those out. And
hey, Spinning Darkness is good.
Yeah, so that's the general philosophy. And then for Legacy specifically, they said blue-red Diver decks have been so successful at tournament play that they are hurting the diversity of the format. I have heard this so many times, by the way, especially about blue-red Diver. While other decks can have some success, the diversity is significantly less than it had been. Treasure Cruise is banned.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's true. It just pushed out anything trying to play fair that couldn't keep up with Treasure Cruise, which is very little. Not much can. It was just like play Pyroblast or screw you. I don't know.
These I remember these sideboards where people were joking about, hey, I guess this is my sideboard now. You have like 8 red blasts and 7 blue blasts. It's like, okay, this is Legacy now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as everybody knows, after they banned Treasure Cruise, the format healed and everybody was happy, and they lived happily ever after. No, not really, right?
This is where it's me and Kai versus Julian on cards we enjoyed.
Yeah. 100%.
Although I totally am open that this card was complete bullshit. So if anyone can't guess, it's like the cousin of Treasure Cruise. It's Dig Through Time. Dig Through Time just wasn't played while Treasure Cruise was legal, right? It was like here and there.
One or two of rarely somewhere, but it wasn't really a big thing. Yeah.
But I do think it was underexplored just because Cruise was Cruise was better, and I don't think any Dig deck was kind of better than Blue Red Delver with Cruise. But Dig was kind of slept on just because Cruise was just there, and then Dig kind of went into these mid-range Delver decks and Omnitel, which was just crazy. So this was so Treasure Cruise was banned in January and Treasure Cruise in September. So we've got 8 months between there.
Yeah, and that was like 2 months too long.
Yeah, it felt like a long time. I remember that. So my anecdotes was like, this is when I was playing every single week at my local in London, and Shardless also couldn't really beat Omnitel. This was back when Lee J came up with the idea to play a Savannah and Medley Major, so I kind of had some games. Yeah. So I was doing that, and then I went back to my old love. So during this time, I mostly played Nick Fit with 4 Mindex Slaughter games. Don't judge me too much. But yeah, I did that quite a lot, and I was just messing around because it felt like a lame duck format for a while, to me anyway. Like it felt like Dig Through Time was just on borrowed time, and like all the tournaments just had it. This was an SCG was still going on and stuff, and you'll see the GPs, and you're just like, this is silly.
Yeah.
I also had maybe one of my top 5 Legacy decks ever was Grixis Control with Pyromancer Ascension and Dig Through Time. I adore that deck with so much of my heart, but yeah, that was fun. That's my story.
So when they announced the ban of Treasure Cruise on January 15th, it was pretty bizarre why they only banned Treasure Cruise and not Dig Through Time, since both cards that came out in the same set, Cards of Tarkir, and they had such a similar effect.
It still felt like an unknown, though, to me. This is rough memory.
It wasn't played that much, really, yeah.
It wasn't, exactly. It wasn't played that much because Dig Through Time is, as you said, it's more like a mid-range control card, right? Like, it's not as fast as Treasure Cruise. But Custom Cutter, who we talked about earlier, he already played Dig Through Times over Treasure Cruise while Treasure Cruise was legal.
Oh, did you? I forgot about that.
It was a control deck though. I think he played Miracles and all he cared about was blind flipping eights whenever opponent cast Dig Through Times.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that sort of stuff.
I think Miracles did play 2 Dig Through Times when
Miracles would do that. Actually, we can actually look it up.
Yeah.
Because Philip Schöneger made top 8 at the GP.
Yeah. So that time must have been like it was the golden age of Omnitel versus Miracles, I want to say.
I think Omnitel's golden time was after Cruise was banned, but
yeah,
I forgot that Miracles probably played some dig through times while Cruise was legal. I think it was 2, maybe 3.
So I'm looking at Philip's list right now.
Yeah, you had to counter the cruises, right?
And create
counterbalance.
You're right there.
Oh, create hoops, yeah.
I did it a few times.
So interestingly, Philip didn't play any dig through times, but he played 2 copies of Red Blast in the main deck to entreat the engines.
Maybe it was like towards the end of Cruise, because it doesn't feel like super apparent in my head, but it was probably a mistake to not play a couple. Because then once Cruise was banned, then what year was GP Lille where Claudio won? With like Mentor.
That was 2015. That was 15. That time. That was that period.
Yeah.
Pressure Cruise was banned and Dig Through Time was still legal.
That was it.
And Kai was giving Tokyo MTG shirts to everybody.
Oh yeah, dude.
And you had that really interesting haircut that I still think looks.
I always have interesting haircuts.
No, you like hated on your haircut from back then. I was like, actually, you don't think it looks that bad.
Okay. Thank you.
Or maybe it was not. Actually, okay. Never mind. I just remember I had a really good time with that GP, even though I got destroyed because I foolishly decided to play elves. I came into the GP and I wanted to play 4-color loam because that's one of the things that I'm actually proud of. I guess there are some things in life that I hopefully can be proud of, but there was a time when very often the Wizards hired commentators. They would reach out to me before Legacy GPs and they were asking me for like, hey, can you give us like a write-up of what Legacy looks like? And because we have no idea what's going on, so we can at least pretend that we know what's going on. And one of the write-ups I gave them, I think it was like Matej Sadelkai, I talked about how I believed that Mox Diamond, I mean, obviously, dig through time, right? And Miracles and whatever. But I thought one of the big counterplays is Mox Diamond-based decks. And as it turns out, I think there were like 2 or 3 in the top 8. I think like 2 in the top 8 and another in the top 16.
There was 2 in the top 8.
Yeah, those 4-color Knight of Reliquary decks.
Because Dark Confident and Choke were very good against them, right?
Yeah, Choke was really good.
Yeah,
and Chalice and Thalia too. But yeah, I think this was the first time like we saw that 4-color Loam deck.
Like I think not one of the big strats was like put in Trinisphere off the show and tell and then choke them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language, right? And I had brought that deck to the tournament and I played like, I want to say like 1 or 2 last chance trials. I couldn't win them, right? You have to win like, I think like 5 or 6 rounds in a row. And at some point I just was like, okay, I still have elves around and I think back then it was still all foil and I wanted to play it. So I played another qualifier and I won that qualifier with elves and I was like, fuck it. Main event, let's register elves. That's what I want to do.
We elf ball.
Yeah, and then I just like got smashed by. Actually, I got smashed by a couple of Dig Through Time decks, and then eventually I also lost a round to Chunt, and that was, I don't know, something broke inside me at that GP. Kinda.
Yeah. Because then you took a bit of a break, right?
Not exactly right after. I still remember that like I had a great time because like the whole area, that's also where we rented the castle and we had a really great time at the castle and everything. And I enjoyed that, like everything around the GP I enjoyed a lot. And it was also cool. I think Kai, you got top 16.
I finished 17th, yeah. And I
top 17, baby.
Poor man's top 16.
I know. I think it was even because of like tiebreakers and stuff. But yeah, Adnos and Tendrils was had an insane win rate at this GP. I think like the top 16 had like a couple of the best Storm players, like almost all of them.
Yeah, and one of them played 4-color Loam. Mr. Alzheimer.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah, because he was known as a Storm or even like a Doomsday player.
Yeah, he was one of the. There was like
the Maniacs. Yeah,
exactly. Wasn't there like this trifecta of like the big Doomsday guys like Emmetlin, Alzheimer, and DJ? Yeah. At least that's what the marketing told us, right? There were probably like other great players that nobody ever heard about.
Oh yeah.
I remember being so fascinated by Doomsday. I would like, there were sheets out there in the dark depths of the internet and you'd find it and you'd like, it would all be abbreviated. So I didn't know what a lot of the abbreviations were, but I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. Maybe I'll be like that one day.
I still remember when there were like the Storm boards. I guess the Storm boards are still around, which was a forum that you had to apply for Holy shit.
I applied and never got accepted.
I applied and I got accepted, but I don't know how.
Dude, that's called a cult.
Yeah.
Gotta sacrifice a goat or something.
This is proper gatekeeping, and I love it. I think it's so cool. Like, even though I was denied, I was just like, damn, they're so cool.
Yeah, dude, you gotta pay with blood.
It's even cooler that you got denied, right?
Yeah.
I think it's basically like that Berghain vibe.
Format. Yeah, it's Berghain on the internet.
But yeah, you already talked about this, right? Claudio Bonani won with like an aggressive mentor miracle stack with like 4 copies of Days, I want to say.
Yeah, it was 3 mentor, 3 days, maybe 4 days. I'm trying to remember, but it was quite new. Like, some people were playing it online, but a move away from the, like, I think there was no Jaces. I'm trying to remember here, but the classic setup was like 2 entreats, 2 Jace, like 2 or 3 snapcasters and 2 counter spells, and then it was all like everything else was kind of like set in stone. But then the move to Days and Mentor away from like Jace and like entreats was quite new. I think we were playing a bit online, but the Days takes people by surprise.
I got the list here right now, so it's like 3 copies of Days, a single copy of Counterspell, 3 Swords to Plowshares, 2 Pyroblasts, 2 Thick Through Time, 3 Terminus. And yeah, for aggression, only 4 Monastery Mentor and 2 Snapcaster Mages, which actually were the only win conditions. There was no chase, as you mentioned.
Yeah, no chase.
There was 1 chase in the sideboard. I guess that doesn't really count. Oh, and a Vendilion Click, yes.
Really? Just can't get away from it.
In the sideboard, at least.
Click was very good against take 3, the Omnitel decks. Like, very good. You'd put it in off the Omni and be able to take, or like you'd create a trigger. Like, so Snapcasters and Cliques would create a trigger when they come in, so you could try and Pyroblast the Omni and start a fight so they can't cast sorcery speed things.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I guess it was for that. But yeah, Mentor took the world by storm, and then like Mentor Miracles was just quite a beast.
Yeah, but overall it was like both the Dig Through Time and the Treasure Cruise era was very spell based time. Like, you didn't play a lot of permanents. And lots of counter wars too, like multiple, like Flusterstorm was like an all-time high, I think, in Legacy.
Forgot about that.
Like, it was insane how, like, it's almost like consigned to memory right now, where like every single deck played Flusterstorms.
But you'd often see the main deck from Omnitel, right?
From Omnitel, they usually have like a copy or 2 or something.
You have them in your main deck, kind of. You have Cunning Wish, so
True.
Yeah, but that era really taught you how to properly play Flusterstorm, right? Because in the past, a lot of times it was just like the combo stopper, right? Because they play Show and Tell, you play whatever you have, and then at some point you Flusterstorm and you stop the combo. But now all of a sudden, like, you really have to think about it. You have to create these stacks. You have to think about which copies do I put on which, and like how many mana do I have left to pay for their Flusterstorm. And that was quite something. So for us, horrible as it was to diversity and everything, it made you think. And something I really enjoyed was, I want to say, the blue-red Omnitel mirrors, because at some point people also brought in like young pyromancers, right, or even had them in the main deck, and then it became all about that. And sometimes
are we all thinking of the same video?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Same match.
Like this. Was it the quarterfinals at GP Kyoto?
Yes, exactly. It was Shuhei
Kenta
versus Kenta. Yeah,
Kenta Harane versus Shota Yasuoka.
Exactly.
That epic Emrakul block.
That's a top 5 match of Legacy ever recorded. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Everyone go and search for Kenta Harane versus Shota Yasuoka.
Might that actually be on my YouTube channel? I remember I streamed that Legacy GP.
It was when
it's such a legendary
Anurag
match.
and Bob and someone else was like commentating it, I think.
Oh, that might have been the year after, because that was, okay. I think I might have streamed the Japanese GP in 2014, because that was the one where Kai made top 8, right?
Yeah, that was the very same GP. I think
you had
got it on your channel,
that cool hip-hop base cap. I remember that. Yeah.
That was the only...
Somehow I remember all of Kai's outfits during these tournaments.
Nice.
I mean, you gotta say, Kai's outfits are memorable, right?
Not his magic
I don't know if
results,
that's a good thing, but yes, thank you.
So Julian doesn't remember your top 17, he remembers your outfits all the time.
But I pumped it up to a top 16.
Yeah. But your comment is right, though. Like, it was if you were playing the busted stuff, it was a very strategic and hard, like, interesting and fun format to play. But Dig Through Time and the Blue X were obviously too good, because I'm just reading over their reasoning in the ban announcement, and there was a lot of decks playing Dig Through Time. Like, Omnitel was the best, but there was Miracles. There were these like bug Delver decks, or kind of just Delver or 4-color Delver decks that played it as well, and they were quite competitive as well. So yeah, there was quite a few different things. It feels like currently now with Psychic Frog, like there's a lot of different decks playing it, but it's the diversity of just playing against this card. And then Dig Through Time pushed out way more than Frog does, for example. Because it's just blue decks and cantrip decks.
It basically killed like all of the non-blue mid-range decks.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like, I still remember the 15 rounds of Swiss in GP Kyoto I played against a single non-blue deck and 14 blue decks. Just to give you like an idea of like how ridiculous it was, right? I think that the non-blue deck was lands, I think, but man.
I never thought of it like this, but this is a kind of interesting point in the format's history because it's always been a blue format, not like Vintage, but they could have been like, okay, we think this is the blue format as well and gone that route and whatever. But they've decided to keep Legacy a format where all 5 colors should be viable, which is cool. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. It's also interesting you mentioned that because the way I was introduced to Legacy was in 2005 as the format where people play creatures and attack with creatures and block. Because standard, like, and even like to a degree extended, were dominated by completely broken combo shit and everything. And in Legacy, people just, they played their creatures and they attacked and blocked, and there were some combo decks, but historically, combo decks in Legacy were actually pretty terrible. And also people didn't play stuff like Chatters because that was just like basically tier 3, like with Dragon Stompy was the first one, I guess, if you wanted to say like Sea Stompy maybe, that kind of made it work. But overall, Legacy was really this like mid-range slugfest of creatures. And then you had, I don't know, like Landstill, which like usually like your local end boss would be the player playing Landstill because it was the only person who actually knew how to play the format. But in the grand scheme of things, Landstill was like not very good and was like all about like Rock Diver. And then eventually we realized, okay, Rock Diver is basically the best deck and Solidarity is really good. And then slowly but surely we kind of drifted away from the thing where now if you play like a non-blue mid-range deck, like Chant, for example, would have been a prime deck back then if it existed. And I mean, it had its spot in Legacy for a while here and there, but never wasn't really that great. Yeah. But I know a lot of people love it.
I played it a ton. After...
I was actually thinking about you.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good when Deathray Shaman came out, I think. Yeah, because it just smashed Rock and Bug. Like left and right.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that for sure.
Me making fun of Curdape just now made me remember that Curdape actually won an SCG when Treasure Cruise was legal because it was
was it like that Daryl Ayers?
It was Daryl Ayers, exactly.
Yeah, dude, cause man, that was such a sacrilegious thing he did. Like he cut all the monkeys and put in Curdape, and like that was cheating.
Anyway, just like funny little memory.
Oh, that's funny.
So
small thing about Curdape. In like if you saw the Charmin version of Curdape, Kai, do you already know what Curdape is called in Charmin?
Oh, I think it has like a legendary name or something.
Yeah, it's called Kiert der Menschenaffe, Kurt the human monkey, which clearly indicates that it's like a character, like you know, like a. And back in school, we totally didn't understand why it wasn't legendary. It's Kurt, his name, the human ape, and I think Kurt is actually like a place in somewhere in Dominaria or something. So it's like a Kurt ape, like a, I don't know, Sumatra ape or whatever you have. But yeah. Anyway, so that's that.
So that's why Dig Through Time is banned.
Yeah, exactly. No, so after GP Lille, which happened in, I want to say June or July, I was completely convinced, okay, this cannot persist. This is not a state of the format that we can go on with. I think this was the first time where I felt confident enough in my assessment of like, no, this is really not what we want to be doing, and it has to stop. And I was so convinced it's gonna get banned at the next ban announcement, which I believe then happened in July. And I've never been more devastated about a card not being banned than when they did not ban Dig Through Time at that point in July. And that went as far that for the first time in 10 years, I stopped playing Legacy back then. I literally stopped playing Magic. I stopped streaming. I stopped playing. I think I was invited to some kind of like Tempest Remastered draft by Wizards that I like streamed, and some people say I won. I thought I got destroyed, but whatever. And I bought a PlayStation 4 and GTA 5, and then I played that for the next couple of months. And that was the first time I was actually out of Magic in 10 years. And like seriously out of Magic for, well, I guess 2 months or 3. And then they realized, okay, if Julian stops playing, then we better ban that stupid Dig Through Time.
So we can thank you for it being banned.
Yeah.
You showed them your like game logs of playing tons of GTA.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah. They basically they judged the health of the format by my Magic Online activity, and they saw it went like way down. And all the alarm bells, they had quite a bit of.
Between Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time being banned is 8 months, but actually, like, everyone had fatigue of blue decks and delve spells already from Treasure Cruise, so it's a lot longer to like go through this slog, really. So
It also felt so bad, right? When they cast, even if they cast Show and Tell and you would counter it, you'd feel like, okay, I countered the Show and Tell, but now I have one less counter spell for the Dig Through Time, and that's what's eventually gonna get me. It felt so bad to counter the spell that wins the game.
And I also remember so often people trying to like surgical the Show and Tells and they'd like Dig Through Time and response exile.
No, my goodness,
all the time.
Oh god,
all the time.
You know what a friend of mine did? Mike Danielson, also known as Overvoltage. He played blue-black Omnitile, and I think part of it was for maybe. I think part of it was like for Thoughtseize, which also made them a lot easier to like know when you can like fire off your Show and Tell and stuff. But one of the Cunning Wish targets he had, I don't know if you guys remember that or if you ever saw that. He had one of the spiciest Cunning Wish targets in all of Legacy.
It's a black instant.
It's a black instant.
The black and XLX cards.
No, that's Skeletal Scrying. The mana cost is black.
Darkness. Oh shit.
Darkness prevent all combat damage. Yes.
Like, please don't tell me it was like Word of Command.
It was Word of Command.
Oh my goodness, no.
That's sick.
Yeah, so for those who don't know what Word of Command does, I'm not going to read the Oracle text. I'm trying to tell it from memory. So it's a black instant. It literally only has 2 eyes on it. Like, that's an interesting art description, I guess. And when it resolves, you get to look at the opponent's hand, you pick a card from it, and you can play it, and you can use their mana to cast it, and you control them as it resolves. Like, I kind of explained that correctly, right?
I don't even know it's my Magic Online avatar. I just think it looks cool. I don't really know what it does.
So the idea, of course, is that you take like some kind of interactive spell and use them again. Like you wouldn't like take the Tarmogoyf and cast the Tarmogoyf and be like, hey, opponent, here we go. No. So what Mike figured out is, okay, so what if I Cunning Wish for Word of Command, cast Word of Command, by the way, which also can't be Pyroblasted. I guess you might fight over the Cunning Wish, but whatever. And then you use their Show and Tell, you cast their Show and Tell, and because you control them as Show and Tell resolves, you still get to pick which card they put into play. And of course, you choose nothing.
That's some nonsense.
And you, on your side of the board, you put your own Omniscience into play.
This is so ridiculous.
I love it so much.
This is so ridiculous. There's so many steps.
It's actually,
and it's so humiliating too.
You can set it up reasonably well, I guess. With Gataxian, Gataxian Probe was already banned at that point, right?
But I love
it was not.
I love that you'll go like, I'll Thoughtseize you and not take your Show and Tell. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, I was so happy when that card got banned. I still remember I posted a meme about, you guys know that Pulp Fiction quote about like, what's like, Coke is fucking dead, dad is dead, heroin, it's coming back, big fucking way. And I posted that about Shardless, right? Shardless coming back big fucking way because like at the time you couldn't play it in Shardless, and it was like really good against Shardless, and well, it didn't really come back, but I thought it was a funny meme.
I know, like I've said, like I love a lot of decks, but Shardless I've probably played more than anything else.
Oh,
I loved it.
It's cool.
All right. Do we want to move to the next card?
Yeah.
Should we say quickly why?
This is so much love for Dig Through Time. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, just very quickly. So why Dig Through Time was banned? I won't go over the whole quote, but it's actually kind of what we said already.
Actually, let me read it out. It says here, after careful consideration, we came to the assessment that Dig Through Time is bullshit. Dig Through Time is banned.
Official words. Cool.
Yeah. That's what they said.
Yeah. Oh, they kind of just said like, this is bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, what was banned next, Julian? Just a little card.
That was like Wizards is sometimes a little bit late on stuff, but in this case they were late by almost 10 years, like 9 years and something. And that was the magical day. I want to say it was April 23rd or something, when finally, after a long fight, the biggest fight I've ever fought in my life, Senses Divining Top was banned.
So I remember exactly where I was in the world. I was still working. I'm working for the same company I work for now, but I was doing stock control and stuff. And I remember exactly where I was in the warehouse when I had my phone open and read it. And I was like, I thought the Miracles chat was just trolling as usual. Every BNR, everyone would like make up fake things. And this time I was like, yeah, whatever. And then it was like, oh shit, this is real. And then I just like froze. What the fuck? They did it?
Oh, man. It's funny, man.
Is this the biggest ban in the history of Legacy? I want to say it is.
I think so. Yeah, this was massive. This was massive. It's funny. Like I didn't. So the first thing I saw was when Claudio Bonanni sent me the screenshot of this terrible enchantment soothsaying, and I was like, and I was like, dude, we're like, what the hell is this, right? And then I had to scroll a little bit up, and then found out that Sense of Surviving got banned. But what a crazy day! I think half of the Legacy community they freaked out about this ban.
Well, he showed you soothsaying because I was trolling Anorak at the time, and I sent him a copy of Elemental Augury.
Oh,
Have you guys seen Elemental Augury?
I love it.
I'm gonna put it in here, Kai, if you haven't seen it before. Check it out. It's gonna be now. This is in the show notes. Check this out.
I love
Tell me what you see in the picture. Tell me what the character is.
It's like a magical dinosaur.
What makes it magical?
Because there's
runes on its skin.
Yeah,
I guess.
Runes on its skin.
Teal runes is very magical.
Yeah, like some potion. Potion stuff in the background. It looks really cool. It's a Grixis enchantment. There are not a lot of Grixis enchantment in Magic in general.
Yeah, it's basically Grixis color enchantments, and you can play. This is hilarious. You can play 3 mana to look at the top 3 cards of target player's library, then put them back in any order.
Wow,
but basically top.
But targeting the opponent is pretty fucking brutal, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But not so much in a fetch land format.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty brutal. Like if you get them into the Elemental Augury look, right?
Yeah,
I want to do that now.
But I found it so interesting how Legacy players, when as soon as something gets banned, they try to find the next best thing that can kind of do the same thing, right? Instead of abandoning a deck idea altogether and starting from scratch with something else. It's been a thing for so long.
Mm-hmm. It's never really good, is it?
No, it's not. But maybe there was a time
was quite good after.
I mean, survival of the fittest, and people wanted to make Fauna Shaman work, and they were Fauna Shaman decks, but
with Green Ranger, and how about predict instead of dig through time now that dig through time is gone, those kind of things, or accumulated knowledge.
I feel like I'm just getting poked here with all these cards that I tried and liked, but no, it's true. Yeah, I mean, as soon as Top got banned, I agree that it was the biggest ban because it wasn't just Miracles that played it. Obviously, Miracles abused it, but it was Painter played it and NickFit played it and a few others. I don't know.
Sure.
But Miracles completely abused it. And I always thought that Counterbalance should be banned, and I still kind of believe that. And I know that I'm not going to go too deep into it because Julian, you'll strongly disagree.
No, it's fine. Everybody knows you're wrong.
But I mean, when I played Miracles, I hated Countertop. I thought it was a bullshit combo. It was really unfun to play with and against. So I was just always thinking they either take the reasoning that that Top is a slow card and promotes slow play, which I get. I think it's okay. I understand that, and I think it did promote slow play, and we got there. So yeah, logistical reasons is what they say, and I buy it. But at the same time, it's I don't know, just ban the slow players. but that was the selfish reason. But yeah, it was straight afterwards. Everyone was just in shock. I felt the whole format was changed. Everyone, it wasn't just where Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time being banned was okay, now we're going to see more diversity in the format. It felt like everyone had been building for Miracles, and Miracles was just the top deck for so many years that everyone just didn't know what the format even looked like. So it definitely. I mean,
that's what people basically called them Stockholm syndrome, the format.
Mm-hmm.
We fully accepted that we are being
destroyed
by Miracles left and right, and just we're gonna try to make it work. Basically, you've been abducted by terrorists, and after the first year, you accept it and you try to make it work, and you feel maybe I can build a new life with the terrorists in the jungle or something. I still remember those German tourists who were abducted on the Philippines for years by USAF.
The time between Dig Through Time being banned Miracles and Censorship ban is a little under 2 years, but Miracles was good for a long time during Cruise and Dig Through Time and stuff. So it'd been a top deck for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
For 5 years at that point.
5 years, okay. Yeah. I think most people didn't think that they would ban it as well. That's why it was so shocking, right?
Yeah, I think we were already kind of past the point where we felt we put, I mean, by we, I mean me and a lot of other people, not everybody in the format, I gotta admit that. We're pushing for that. Mm-hmm. But it felt like the fight was kind of lost. And to me, it felt kind of weird always, because I still remember when in September 2008, they banned it for Legacy, in Extended, for basically the exact same reasons. It was banned in Extended because the countertop combo was like horrible, and also for logistical reasons. And then it took them another 9 years to also do that in Legacy. I mean, I get where they're coming from, and also like I highlighted this in our show notes here. In their paragraph about why they banned top, they mentioned, we were hopeful that this would change over time, but it has not. It almost feels like one of those like toxic relationships, right? Where you feel like, I can fix him, and 9 years later you still haven't fixed him, and then somebody like puts up a sign in front of your apartment, please get rid of your boyfriend, he sucks, and then you ban it.
I like seeing that though, and I like that approach in general, but they need to be, I mean, it just went on for too long, because so should we read what they said, because this was like the biggest one? So
go ahead.
In Legacy, Miracles, a deck focusing on combining counterbalance and Senses Divining Top to control what opponents can or mostly cannot resolve, has been the best deck in the format for some time. We were hopeful that this would change over time, but it has not. That alone is not necessary enough to move to ban a card from the deck, but Senses Divining Top comes with its own host of issues that center around the timely conclusion of matches in a tournament setting. The necessity of repeated top activations to play the card slows down match play and leads to tournament delays. Coupled with the power of the Miracles deck, this is readers enough for us to take action on top. Therefore, Senses Divining Top is banned in Legacy. So
I think that's a solid argument.
Yeah, I agree.
If like tournaments just taking way too long.
And
also like, can I ask you a question just real quick? Like, so if your opponent activates Senses Divining Top, like how many seconds do you give them?
I was one of the people playing at the time as well. So in a mirror, I don't think I had that many problems, really. A lot of the time I would just say, like, look, as soon as we realize it's a mirror, I'm just like, we both got to play fast, let's do this. But I was a very, very fast player, probably to my own detriment. So I don't think I really went to time ever, but that was just my own personal like approach to it. But like every tournament would have a few rounds going over, and it would be at least a Miracles player, if not a mirror. So... I don't really have an answer though. A couple of seconds.
I mean, like I usually like I had this like hidden rule somewhere where I usually try to like activate my Senses Divining Top in my Storm deck within 5 seconds. Like in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds sounds not like a lot, but it's actually quite a lot of time.
Yeah,
I'm very much like a slow play Nazi. I guess they would call that. I think 5 seconds is like way too little. Like you can take a lot more than 5 seconds, you know.
Oh yeah, people would take longer, and I think over 5 seconds is where I would be telling people like, come on, this is stupid, because people would do it multiple times a turn and not even change stuff as well.
But the thing is, like, from announcing top to putting the cards into your hand to looking at the 3 cards, that's already like 2 or 3 seconds almost. Because you also have to wait your opponent to like acknowledge the top activation and say yes and everything.
And even fast players, it just took a lot of dexterity and a lot of time.
You know, also, one thing somebody once said to me where I realized, okay, a lot of people are just like brain deading their top activations. And I wasn't even thinking about it because at the time, like I played Miracles here and there at times. I think in one of the previous episodes I mentioned how I played it at a big tournament and I crushed an Elves player and like he saw us like live right before his eyes.
Julian the traitor.
But a lot of times, especially at that point, I wasn't really playing it in big events. And a friend of mine once told me, dude, he was a Miracles player, by the way. Actually, he was not. It was Marius Hausmann. Anyway, he told me there are so many brain-dead Miracles players out there with their top activations. They will go end of turn, like on the opponent's end of turn when the opponent is tapped out and doesn't have anything going on. They will activate their top, look at the cards for a while, put them back, then go to their main phase and chase Brainstorm. Which, like, if you already know you're going to do that top activation at the end of turn did nothing. But they lack the foresight to, like, see the game in the bigger picture just to, like, conserve that time. And then people are going to be like, oh, there's this corner case scenario with Surgical. And yeah, but, you know... Yeah.
Oh,
not against Burn.
Glad you said it. I thought they're gonna top an upkeep again.
Okay, that would be. I mean
there were matchups where you would do that. Like so against.
I was gonna say
lands with Crows and Grip, you would have to top at all weird times and stuff, and you would be trying to float the 3, and you would do it end of turn in case they go for it there, and then upkeep it and draw step it, and like. To do it properly, it was weird. This is why I liked playing online.
But that's like even more obnoxious because you're forced to top more often, maybe like twice as often.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was actually cool because now that you mentioned this, there's been multiple iterations or eras of countertop and Legacy. And the first one was actually from around, I want to say 2007. I guess that makes sense because that's where I think counterbalance came out. From 2007 to like 2010-ish, and then it vanished. And it only came back like when we got the Miracle Space, right, in 2012. And I will always remember like my friend telling me, of all the things I did not foresee coming back into Legacy, it would have been Countertop. Because we already had lived through 3 years through the first era of Countertop and Legacy, and was a lot less potent, and Grozen Grip was everywhere. And you always did that really delicate dance of like, when do you fire off the Grozen Grip? Because they would float Trinket Mage on top, and you would never really know when Trinket Mage was on top or not. And it was really, really cool, because there was the 4-color Supreme Blue deck, and there was also Dreadnought, or Dread still, I guess, which played Countertop. And you really had to you put yourself into their shoes, try to understand the game from their perspective, and eventually figure out when should you fire off the Grozen Grip. And the coolest thing, and I will never forget that, because that was still the time where I felt like I wasn't a very good player, and there were like, everybody was better than me, and I think I was better than I thought I was. And whenever I played against the best local players, they would like give me a lot of respect, and that, honestly, that feels good, right? And one of them, I will never forget that. He chopped around, and he knew I was holding Grozen Grip, and I knew that he knew that I had Grozen Grip and everything. And during one of his upkeeps, he looked at me, and after thinking so much, he was like, "You just forced me to draw my Trinket Mage." And I was like, yeah. And I know exactly that I just did that.
Nice.
And
That's
it's
cool.
just like, it's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
That was a good time for like playing against counterbalance. We had like, eventually we got like Corsari Pride Mage and everything, and then it died. Yeah, and then all the white stuff came, and that was like...
There were interesting play patterns. And I think a big part of it coming back and getting good was people realizing how good cantrips were as well. Like, the format got compressed, the mana curves came down, Ponder was everywhere because people realized how good it is. So back then, you were playing 3 and 4 drops, and it's hard to like counter everything up till 4 mana with countertop. It was. You didn't always have the Jace or the Entreat to hit them and stuff. So... yeah, but then as soon as, especially because the Delve spells made people play like more cheap interaction. It was like Pyroblast were everywhere, cantrips were everywhere, Swords was everywhere. You had to play these cheap things because you have to fight on Blue-Red Delver's level. But then it kind of, that was what woke people up to cheap spells being good, I think, really. And that just carried on.
And also like the most played colors back then, they didn't really have good removal for counterbalance. Right? Like, why? Like, you had like like, I remember Mirkus actually played straight up Disenchant. Not necessarily for counterbalance, but for other stuff. But everything was like
Werther, wasn't it?
Yeah, Werther once it came out, right? And you had like 1 and 2 mana and that kind of stuff. Like, nobody would go for like 3 mana. I guess Ad Nauseam later did that in 2016, right? When Rodrigo won in Prague. He had like
that side would have like 3 Grozen Grip, 3 or 4 Abrupt Decay.
yeah. Abrupt Decay helped a little bit at least.
Yeah. Abrupt Decay felt like it was I would love to know if it was actually printed for Counterbalance, because I feel like it was. It must be made with some legacy in mind. And I think it's a beautifully designed card. It helped the format a ton. Like, you would never trade up on mana, really. Like, you could kill a 3 mana thing, I know, but it was rare that there were 3 mana things to kill. It was often trading up a mana, so you're auto paying for the days in a way against the 1-drops like Delver. But at least you can build a plan around it and stuff. It was a cool addition.
It's kind of, I think we mentioned this like half a year ago. When you think about how dominant, or I don't know, you basically Abrupt Decay was the removal spell, right? At points, I want to say it was more common than Swords to Plowshares even. And when you look at Legacy now, Abrupt Decay, what? Like, if you ever see that, you're like, oh, that's Grandpa playing his old spell or something.
So I was about to say a nice thing, and then now you've said Grandpa. I was watching Duke stream a couple of nights ago, and he was playing Abrupt Decay, and I thought, I haven't seen that for a while. Yeah. But Duke, you're not a Grandpa. I love you.
I think Hughes actually said that he's going to take a break from Legacy for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the stream, and like, he got run over playing Maverick by the One Ring from like Moonstompy and stuff, and that is pretty demoralizing. I get it, but maybe it's like an end of year, just tying up before Christmas break. And
I
stuff.
Can see that. Yeah, also like he doesn't really have any kind of eternal weekends going on unless he goes to like, I guess, Japan.
Yeah, and that's already gone. So
and who would ever go to Japan, right?
Right.
Let alone a Japanese wedding. By the way, congratulations if you guessed it. Our buddy here, Kai Savatari, is actually the one who got married.
Oh, hey.
Not Julian Sensitive Divining Top.
No,
we broke up a long time ago.
Yeah. Don't worry, you guys. Yeah, I will stay on the legacy train for as long as possible. So
I was talking to your wife at the wedding, and she knows a lot about the podcast and Magic and everything. And I almost wanted to invite her to be a guest on the show, but I realized if we can't talk about legacy, Like we can't really talk about standard all that much.
Well, not yet. Yeah, but she plays more Magic than I do. So
which is quite something.
Which is just quite something, definitely. But it's Arena first. But I showed her a couple of Legacy decks, and she immediately liked that blue-red Delver deck, and I was like, okay, well, let's talk about something else then.
I'll admit it. Delver's the best thing to learn to get into Legacy.
Yeah, it is.
I know.
It's kind of funny, right? Because a lot of people, when they come into Legacy or they consider themselves like not good enough players for a blue deck, they will not play Delver, but that's the worst thing you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I see people like saying, "Oh, I want to try out the format," Dredge is cheap and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love Dredge, but every time I don't think I've ever recommended anything other than Delver as someone that wants to start to learn Legacy, because it's just like, it's always one of the best decks, which is cool. It's super interactive. It'll teach you how the Legacy format actually plays, and playing cantrips is not that hard, and you need to learn it at some point anyway, because once you play against these decks, you need to understand how they function to play against them as well. So I don't know, if you try and learn Legacy, play Delver. It's just the best way to learn.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at that point, top was banned. It was also like the last year where I really tried to make things work competitively, and I kind of did. I think I got second in the overall Magic Card Market. That was when Card Market had this European rating, right, of the best players, and I believe I got second, which meant I got
a
airfare stipend for the next whole season. And nice. I still pissed about it, because the guy who got first place, I'm not even remembering. I think his name was Dennis something. He turned out to be a cheater. He was winning so much, which by itself doesn't mean that much, especially in paper, because there's so many terrible players in paper. But I wanted to be first, and I didn't retroactively get first play. I guess because nobody really cares about it, honestly. But I was like, dude, that would have been so cool to get first place again, because I think I got it previous year. Anyway, and I still remember at Card Market Hamburg, I was like 4-0 or 5-0 in Legacy, and I played against him. And I really, that was the first time I played against that guy. And we talked a lot, and at some point I realized, this guy is not playing stupid. This guy is not that smart. Smart in the sense of that he knows how to play Magic, but he's not smart in the way that I would expect the best player in the ranking to be. And at that point, I already got this kind of something is off, right? You talk him with when you talk with somebody about a game, doesn't need to be Magic, anything, and you feel like there's something lacking in understanding. It either means that you are way lower strategy-wise and understanding-wise than you think you are, or the other person, something's wrong there. And yeah, well, gut feeling, turns out he got banned for cheating. And anyway, so that was the last year where I really tried. And then fast forward to July 2018, Deathrite Shaman is banned.
My baby!
Oh man, that was a very sad day.
My baby. Yeah. This also, I actually don't remember this ban announcement that well. I think I was a bit over it because Grixis Delver was so good, but I freaking loved Deathrite Shaman, and I still do. I think a lot of people do, and also kind of were like, yeah, it was kind of everywhere and a bit too good, but it did some kind of healthy things for the format as well. I don't know. For me, I'm a huge fan of how Wizards have handled the Legacy ban list over the years. Sometimes a bit slow, but I think all their decisions are pretty good. This is the only one where I'm like, it could have stayed legal. I don't know. So I don't remember the day very well, actually. I think it was a surprise to me, but yeah. Oh, because sorry.
I mean, we want to group them, and we want to group the two cards together because they got banned on the same day. But it was Deathrite Shaman Plastic Attacks and Probe that got banned on the same day. And that was so devastating because it basically said we killed Grixis Delver, right? Whereas if they just banned one or the other, maybe they could have been still okay for Delver. I'm not here to even protect Delver here, but this was a little bit of an aggressive maybe ban out of nowhere too.
I completely forgot that they were banned together. Now I remember it a lot more because I remember Anurag screaming in all capitals, "Fuck Delver" in our chats. So now I remember. Fine. I absolutely hated Probe, and I played it in lots of decks as well, but I really, really hated Probe. I felt like it took away a lot of the skill and fun of the format, which a lot of people agreed, and that's what it did. But yeah, Deathrite, I also remember thinking back like, I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to say Probe is basically the second ban in the history of Legacy where the most important thing is not necessarily the power level, but that it just makes for bad gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The first one, of course, being Charizard.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, Probe was the first one, and I think that this is like a good. They also kind of acknowledged that in the announcement, and I think that's always something to point to when people are like, "No, we only ban based on power level." But yeah, like if you literally play rock paper scissors, then also like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, right? Power level is fine, but the gameplay is terrible.
Yeah.
And on a much higher level, that's Legacy when Probe is legal. It just like takes away a big part of the game. And not like Wizards mentions bluffing, and I think bluffing is like not necessarily the best way to put it, because in many ways you don't bluff, you represent. I mean, that's the most sophisticated way to say it, right?
But even like, I mean, when you're playing a blue mirror or something, you'll have some decision trees where you need to make a decision like, oh, am I going to play like they have a very reactive hand or a very proactive hand? And like you'll make your game plan around an assumption based on a few things they've done, whereas Probe then just gets rid of that. So yeah, not bluffing, but yeah. I mean, just going to say one of I've highlighted a bit in their ban announcement. It just says, because of the negative impact Gitaxian Probe has on gameplay as a free spell and low cost information advantage. So yeah, they exactly call it out, as you said. And I remember recording a video of me burning a Gitaxian Probe the day it was banned. So
that was the day where we decided, okay, we have to get this guy on a podcast someday.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame because I loved Probe was banned before Arclight Phoenix came out. Yeah. And I always wondered what the deck would have been like with Probe legal. But yeah.
You also want to read out the one I highlighted about the Threat Shaman, why they banned it?
Yeah, so the
bottom one?
Bottom one, okay. So Death Threat Shaman's reasoning was, while a card seeing lots of competitive play doesn't by itself necessitate action, in this case, we also see many players removing their clothes and acting like brain-dead monkeys. Reduction in diversity in the environment, an ability for the metagame to adjust, and a dominant strategy that's particularly hostile to rogue decks and innovation. For these reasons, Death Threat Shaman is banned in Legacy. I remember the removing clothes and acting like brain-dead monkeys part, but I forgot about the rest.
Yeah, I think they might have edited it in the article later on or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe something got corrupted there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big part, right? We talk about Grixis Delver, and they also mentioned like the really good win percentage and everything. And I want to say, right, when we did these Legacy, what did we call it? Unchained events, where basically a lot of cards became legal. Everybody wanted to play Dig Through Time, and everybody wanted to play Grixis Delver. And there's a reason, right? Because Grixis Delver, I want to say, was like the ultimate well-rounded deck in Legacy in many ways.
Oh, yeah.
There was a stock of like 58 cards that was just so freaking good. Like the threat suite was so perfect because Death Threat Shaman would win board stalls. Delver was your like super aggro thing, so they were both 4-ofs. Then you played 3 Pyromancers, which was your go wide. You played 2 Gurmag Anglers, which was your go tool, like fuck the Abrupt Decay decks. And then like 2 True Names as well, which was your fuck your Source Splashes decks. So every threat dodged some things in other decks, like kind of suites of removal. So it was so hard to play against because sometimes you'd have all your Golgari Charms to kill the Pyromancers, but then they would have Gurmag Angler and it was just so well rounded. Then sometimes you're playing a slow reactive thing. They would also have Probe and Cabal Therapy.
Right.
It was a crazy deck. And so this is influenced by a friend Pete, Power22. He often said that he thinks Grixis Delver at its height was better than like Miracles at its height, and I think it's very close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe a little unfortunate that we didn't have those 2 decks at the same time, maybe. Like the best Miracle deck and the best Legacy, best Delver deck at the same time.
We did, didn't we?
Well, like, because Top was banned before Death Threat Shaman got banned.
Yeah. But people were playing...
But I guess...
People were playing Delver. People playing Grixis Delver when Miracles was legal.
All right. Yeah, pardon me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how much did you guys like the Death Threat Shaman mirror? Like, when you both you and your opponent had like an active Death Threat Shaman or 2 even.
I liked it. I didn't really love it, but it was interesting. You would kind of stare off, and sometimes you'd initiate a fight, and you'd like jostle for position and stuff. But if one person had 2, it kind of felt a bit bullshit. But it was fine. It was interesting still. Like it wasn't great, but
It was like there were a couple of really cool plays, I think, when you could like daze something your opponent plays, and then they try to like activate their Death-Ray Charm into to gain mana, and then you do it in response, and it's not a mana ability, so like you can actually daze something, and choke there.
By the way, rules knowledge. Why is it not a mana ability?
Oh, good.
What's the hallmark of a mana ability?
Judge. I don't tap. No.
Three things. They might have added more in the meantime because all these weird cards they printed. But back then, 3 things made an ability a mana ability. The first one is easy, right? What is a mana ability? What does it do?
It adds mana.
It adds mana to your mana pool. Second one. That's the one that nobody ever remembers. It's not a Planeswalker loyalty ability.
Oh, sure. Never get that one.
Okay, yeah, because otherwise you could like result from Planeswalker ability with instant speed, which was like, yeah. Anyway.
There's something to do with the colons as well?
And the third one, yeah, kinda. The third one is it doesn't target.
Okay.
The colons doesn't really matter because like forests have like tap, colon, add green. But the targeting thing is why it's...
I thought I knew a mana ability that targets. Spectral...
There's no mana ability that targets.
Spectral Searchlight. Hold on.
Let me find that. Spectral.
I mean, this is the podcast where we find all the loopholes. Yeah.
Choose a player.
Oh,
it doesn't target the player. Yeah.
Doesn't target the player. Nope. There we go.
Yeah. They were smart about it.
I played that as a win condition in like Blue-Red Wildfire because you would add mana in the combat step and mana burn them. Anyway, carrying on. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what I still wanted to mention? We talk a lot about Grixis Delver, but I want to say one of the most obnoxious decks that was everywhere was Checkpile, right? Pioneered by Tomáš Már from the Czech Republic.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I played that for quite a while as well. It was
Of course you did. It sounds like a column deck.
Yeah. Back when I was like a mid-range player, yeah.
That was basically like a 4-color deck without white, right? And it started out, it was kind of funny because I remember as far back as 2015, Tomáš Már was already playing that deck. I distinctly remember playing against him at MKM Rome, I think the very first MKM ever. Actually, that was so funny. I was playing Mirkus back then. Oh god, I'm sorry. And I played against his 4-color Checkpile deck, and which actually, by the way, evolved out of like the Castlevania deck. Which now we go like super deep into like deck.
That's one of my favorite deck names, by the way.
Yeah, but it's also so deep, right?
Yeah, because Castlevania is a castle in German is Burg, so Burg is black, blue, red, green.
Yeah,
so I think it's awesome.
Delver.
Yeah.
And from that deck, Tomáš eventually realized, okay, this deck is actually a lot better if I just cut my Golfs, my Dazes and my Delvers, and I just play like a mid-range deck. So he Chandified the deck. And that was as soon as like 2015. And then it took like all the way until like 2017-ish for 4-color Checkpile to basically be everywhere. And that deck really sucked the lifeblood out of me. It's just like, that's also like when people were talking about like blue soup decks, right? Yeah. Just like throw everything in there, it's going to be fine, it's going to work out.
One copy of Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, baby.
2 fatal pushes and like 3 decays or something.
That sounds about right. And Leovold was also brand new, right? It was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Leovold actually was out earlier. I want to say Leovold was released quite a lot earlier.
Okay. I think it came out earlier, but it didn't really catch on or play much.
That might have been it. I want to say it came out in like 2015, but
I got to give myself a little bit of credit here. I thought it was really good straight away, so I put a couple in like my 4-color Delver deck, and when I played it at like a weekly in London, a couple of people laughed at me, and then I played against lands, and they ported me, and I was like, trigger.
Oh my goodness!
Shit! Wow. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, this card's good. This is cool. So I played like a couple in Shardless. But
by the way, shoutouts to Leovold against Carpet of Flowers. You have to target them every single time.
Yeah.
And if you don't add mana in your first main phase, then you target again in the second main phase. Which of course you should never do, but yeah.
To be fair, so Checkpile was just this like kind of big hulking, grotesque, grindy machine. But then it had cool parts as well. Colligan's Command and Snapcaster Mage are just fan favorites. Those cards are sweet. So
fan favorite, you say, right?
Yeah. I think you'll find most people
out
like
in Den Haag.
Yeah. It was. Well, I think it was the Leovold part that actually made the deck feel so sluggish, and like maybe him. But the rest of it, Grixis Control just plays so much differently because it kills you so much slower. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a masochist. I don't know.
Actually, we haven't even talked about the best Elves deck.
Chaos Elves?
The best Death-Ray Shaman deck. Actually, honestly, like the best Death. Actually, no, just Death-Ray Shaman wise, I think it's very much elves.
You mean machine gun elves?
So, yeah, like Quirion Ranger people. Like I got so many wins because people just didn't have the foresight to properly estimate how quickly you can kill.
End of turn, you lose 10. Yeah.
You could literally make them lose 1, 2, 3 over. Yeah, you can make them lose 6 over a turn cycle. So over 2 turn cycles, that's 12 life.
There was a board state where like Ant couldn't win, right?
Yeah, that's what I was always trying to get to. I wanted to get them to 12 life, have Deathray Shaman active, and a Quirion Ranger.
And then
because I figured that cuts off ad nauseum, because like the ad nauseum is going to be too low, and that also cuts off any lines that use Past in Flames, because you have like at least 2 activations to target something in the graveyard. There's still corner case scenarios where they can get there, they surely did, but overall that was basically my game plan. That was like one of the few times where I really had a very dedicated strategy for a matchup, and if I could like go just quick beats, I didn't even need natural order. I mean, it helped, but overall that's where I wanted to navigate the game too.
Yeah.
Which also kind of cool. Like that's basically how I won in the Swiss and in the semi-finals of Bazaar of Mox in Barcelona, Paris in 2013. I saw way earlier, but still like very much on the back of the third champ, because I played against Ad Nauseam twice and I won twice.
That's such a good strategy too, because I think most Ad Nauseam players would think that you have a natural order, like an ASAP natural order in your hand, so they will probably slow down too and try to duress you first and take the natural order that's not there. And then you take the time they lost to just progress your board, and then you have it is definitely kind of uncomfortable. I think like Ad Nauseam Tendrils was a very strong deck when Deathray Shaman was at its peak, which is also a little bizarre based on how reliant like this deck was on Past in Flames, the card Past in Flames, and like Graveyard Hate was in every single main deck. But like a single activation wasn't usually it, right? Like you could tutor for you could infernal tutor for another infernal tutor, and that second one grabs the Past in Flames, and then they can't really do anything about it. But the multiple like Quirion Ranger, Deathray Shaman activation, dude, that killed me every single time, because
because add to that time you could add like 20 mana on turn 4 or 5 easily, and you could probably like play 2-3 copies of Past in Flames, but but then they put such a fast clock on you as well, so it's hard to set up.
Exactly.
Were you playing? And I guess Deathray Shaman was illegal for a very long time, so there wasn't like any Deathrite period. It was just oh shit, my baby's gone.
Also like special shoutouts like to this one time when I played Deathray Shaman in my Storm sideboard.
I remember this.
Let me guess. That must have been Martin Fronasek.
Exactly.
Well, what's the game again?
Slosh the Dark.
Turn 1 Deathrite, turn 2 Plague Boiler.
Turn 1 land, pedal, Deathray Shaman. I don't know.
Martin is one of my favorite combo players ever. So he just always would think outside the box.
It's just so funny. It's almost like a carpet of flower effect, but it also does. You can like mini tendrils your opponent and then like finish them off with Deathrites, stuff like that.
Like 3 Deathrites, 3 tendrils. Let's go.
The ultimate grinding machine.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, dude.
And now like
Deathrite itself as a card is like very much beloved, right?
What
it did to the format, like that people have different opinions on, but I think the card itself, people just loved it.
I daydreamed of Deathrite getting unbanned when it was everywhere, because it's like, our hero.
Oh, man.
But I think Deathrite shouldn't be unbanned now, because blue-black decks are quite good, but I would love it to be unbanned one day. I think its power level kind of scales with the format.
Also, I feel like having more main deck Graveyard Hate cards is not a terrible thing. Like I love how people play what's it called? Like Vital Reliquary and Reclaimer for Jukabok main deck, Like this format needs Graveyard Hate in the first game, I think. And like Deathray Shaman, it felt really nice just having at least a few outs to like against Reanimator in the first game,
In some way, like it puts some kind of clock on them, right? If they don't like get there early, then turn 2 you might untap with the Deathray Shaman. It's a lot harder for them, and then they can of course still do it with like these Axiom and Tomb tricks and stuff, but it gets harder for them. And that's what you want.
Agree totally. So motion to unban Deathrite, 3 votes.
Three votes.
I'm always hesitant to unban something that has been banned. Because it's just like never happened, and I guess for everything I'm not conservative about in real life, this one I'm somewhat conservative about. I don't know, but maybe You only live once, Anwender Shaman.
Let's go. Cool. But not probe.
No, definitely not probe. No, probe. I still feel bad if I probe my opponent on the first hit in Vintage. I still feel bad.
Actually, yeah, same.
It's just like so not okay to do this.
Yeah, everybody loses, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah. So we got 2 more bands coming up, and the next one following like slightly more than a year after, and that was the infamous Ren 6 band, where all of a sudden all the testing was in the toilet, as a famous legacy streamer once said back then, right before the GP.
Yeah. For me, that was true. I hated Ren 6. I hated everything it did to the format. Like, I hated the Delver deck. I hated that you couldn't use removal on it. Now there's a bit more Planeswalker removal that's been printed since then, but yeah, this was not a fun time for me. I had a deck ready for that GP that was insane, I thought. It was with Astrolabe and Ren 6 and Oko, because Oko just come out before. But Ren 6 was just so freaking miserable to play against. Yeah. I don't really have much more to add. It's just I hated it.
Is that maybe in the time when the 3 of us played like the least amount of Legacy?
No, I played quite a bit of Legacy still. The least amount of Legacy is like the last year, and of course those couple of months right before that.
Oh, right.
The time was banned.
I was playing a ton of Magical 9 still at this time.
Oh, Julian, you played Maverick, didn't you?
I played Maverick in that GP, and it felt so good.
Do you want to tell the story of our match as well?
Oh, we talked about this like 100 times on this cast.
I'm not having nightmares about it.
I love hearing it every time because Callum remembers it much better.
But no, talk about Ren 6 though.
Okay, yeah. So that GP was special, and yeah, now I'm lost. I quickly want to mention Maverick just because it was like I played it at my second GP ever, and I almost cashed, and I misplayed horribly over multiple games when I just needed another win and I just couldn't get it. So I didn't cash my second Legacy GP. And that GP I actually cashed. And that felt really good because Maverick, I only played it really because I didn't have anything else to play. So I guess, Kai, you are right. I didn't play as much Legacy back then. And I even borrowed some of the cards from friends. And I just figured, hey, Maverick doesn't feel too bad right now. And I'm really good with the deck. And I also know that at GPs, you always want to play like at least like 1 or 2 Aven Mind Sensors because you like get all the Death and Taxes players. And that's literally how I stole so many wins because nobody ever like expected Aven Mind Sensor and Legacy because they're all like, I don't know, too young to remember the glorious reign of Aven Mind Sensor back in 2011 when it was like the trump card in like basically the mirror matches. But yeah, the only thing I regret about that GP is in the very last round, I kind of rushed myself, and I usually do tiebreaker math myself. I always do it myself because I just like want to trust myself. But then somebody I know told me, "Oh, you can just draw," and I misunderstood that because he meant if I lose, I still get the same amount of money as if I drew, so might as well play. So it's basically it was a free roll for more money. The worst thing that could happen is if we draw, because then we overall get less money. And I misunderstood that, and I was also already hyped because I was locked for the money. And I proposed a draw to my opponent who trusted me because I was a lot more experienced, and then we drew. And like as we start, like we hadn't even drawn our first 7 cards. I was like, actually, you know what? We should just play. Like nobody of us loses if one of us loses. And he was like, no, we already agreed to draw. I was like, okay, sure, then it's a draw. And I won that match. And of course, you might say if you had played properly competitively, maybe I wouldn't have won it, but I felt pretty good about it. It was against Death and Taxes, like another Death and Taxes I crushed. And had I won that one, like officially won that one, I would have been the highest placing Maverick pilot in all of Europe in the last Legacy GP ever. I would have been in the top 32. And when you look at that top 32 of Bologna, it's all the big names in Europe. Of course, like Mark Vogt won the thing, and like just look at the top 8. There's Tristan Pölzel, there's Lorenzo Tassone, there's Andrea Mengucci, there's Andreas Gans, by the way, rest in peace. Oh, yeah. There's Matt Brown, and then 2 names I don't remember. And like that whole GP, even if you go beyond that, and I wanted to put my name in there as well because I feel like I kind of belonged at that point, and I only got like I think top 64 or even 128, I don't remember. But had I won, I would have been top 32. And turns out I was only the second highest placing Maverick player in all of Europe in that GP. And you guys will never guess who was the highest placing Maverick player in that GP.
Kai?
On Twitch. What?
No.
I wasn't even there, dude.
Yeah, that's your first mistake.
Okay.
It was the brother of Arkan, legacy counselor.
I always said Arkan. Yeah, I met his brother briefly. I met Arkan there on day one, and he wasn't playing, but his brother was.
He was so pissed, right? Because Ren and 6 was bad.
Is that why he didn't play? I don't know.
That's exactly why he didn't play. Because the ban happened like a week or two before the GP, and he was so pissed. And he still went there, but he didn't play in the GP. But his brother, who never had really a real profile in Legacy, right? People know about Arkham because of his streaming, but nobody ever knew about his brother, at least internationally. And then he just comes in and does really well and takes away my number one Maverick spot. I'm still, I don't know. Anyway, it's just because I really care about Maverick more than elves. And I said it.
Oh my god! Sorry, elves people.
Yeah, elves people on Suicide Watch, right?
Did you try Ren 6 and elves?
No. I might have. No,
you can return your cradles when you play the second one.
I'm still burned by trying punishing elves, and was the worst iteration of elves I ever played, because I realized when you play Growth of the Burn Willows, that's not a forest. You cannot bounce it with Green Ranger, and everything was terrible. And I was what
about Blood Moon elves?
Going back. That was good. Blood Moon, Chase Elves was really good. I played Chase Elves. Sweet. You could play turn 2 Chase, and I actually did it against Reanimator, and Reanimator put Elish Norn into play. And I think I went land, bounce Elish Norn, anything else.
That's cool. I feel like you could splash anything in elves.
Mm-hmm. At some point, I played Tendrils of Agony in the sideboard, because I would always get miracles down to 2 or 4 alive, and I figured if I play Tendrils of Agony, then I just keep a bunch of elves in hand and run them out and then Tendrils them.
That's a spirit, baby.
Evil person. Evil.
That just tells you how much I tried during those basically 5 years from 2013 to 2018. I was insanely competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ren and 6, that's the one.
Yes, we've been discussing what was post Ren and 6, but during Ren and 6, what were you guys playing, Julian?
I was actually playing Rugdelva with Ren and 6s and Oko.
Oh yeah. Because even if Rugdelva is the ugliest version it's ever been, you still like anything Rugdelva, don't you?
It's by far my favorite version of Delva.
Yeah.
I played Zero Legacy during that time.
Oh really? Okay.
I don't know. If it was because of Ren and 6, I think I was also kind of interested in Modern, I think, at the time, but I just didn't. It was like a pretty short time frame, I think, when Ren and 6 was legal, because it came out during the summer, right? And then got banned a couple of months after.
That sounds roughly right. Let's see, what set was it? Modern Horizons 1.
So I don't think it was a really long period.
No, you're right. It was June. It came out in June, then banned in November.
Yeah,
you're right.
And I just looked at the card, and also that was back when I lived in Tokyo, and I asked a couple of my friends in Germany to ship the card in German to my place, right? And it took them longer than usual. And when the card arrived, it was actually already banned. So
cool.
I didn't play. I didn't play any Ren and 6 games, but I watched a lot of content. But man, I felt kind of sorry for everyone.
By the way,
I don't think anyone enjoyed it very much. Sorry, Julian.
I kind of enjoyed it, but you agree. I very much agree. It's by far the ugliest version of Rugdelva. It lacks any of the elegance of Rugdelva. 2 and 3 mana planeswalkers. Come on, dude. And they're not even properly attacking. But now that you mention it, that you had your friends buy the card and send them to you, and when they arrived, they were already banned. Shoutouts to James Chu. He bought that because I played in the All of Beijing. I was invited there as an international player, and I wanted to play that deck, but I didn't have any of the cards. So James actually bought 4 copies of Ren and 6 just so I could play it. And then I played the tournament, and then it got banned right after. And he was like, I actually just bought those 4 cards so you could play them in a tournament, and that was it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I've got a more fun story how I got Ren and 6s. I played the Modern Horizons GP Limited, and it was the week that it got released. So there was no practice or whatever, but I went with a friend, and we both did really well day one. I got top decked by Jean-Emmanuel Duprat. I was about to win, and then he top decked a really good card, so I almost beat him, which would have been cool. But nice. But day 2, in my first draft, I opened a really shit pack. I took a white creature, and I got past a Ren and 6, pack 1, pick 2, but it was not hyped up to be good in Legacy when it first released and stuff. People were like, oh yeah, maybe lands and loam and stuff. But I was like, I kind of wanted to try it. So I just rare draft because I was like, fuck it. It's only GP day 2. I think I was 8-1 day 1 or something. And then pack 2, the person to my right opens one as well and passes it to me. So I ended up playing a 5-color bullshit deck with 2 Ren and 6s as my win condition. And I had...
Wait, just the ping, the +1?
Well,
and
no,
the -1?
I would ultimate it, and then I would like keep rebuying lands with the second one and play all the removal spells. And then I had 2 Stream of Thoughts, which shuffle cards in my graveyard back into my library.
That sounds exactly like the kind of deck you would play in a limited GP.
Such a monster.
This actually ended up being like one of the archetypes that Sam Black kind of like discovered at a GP later on, and it like took the format by storm. Like 5-color Stream of Thought, and you can splice things on. Replicate.
Wait, you randomly found that?
Yeah. And
you
so
would be so rich, right?
During the deck building, I had to call over a judge to check that I can replicate a Stream of Thought if I retrace it with Ren and Six's ultimate, and everyone around me was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" But it was kind of accident, but it worked. This was the second draft. I went 2-0 and then I did the last one for just cash because I think I won the first draft.
Wait! Replicating Stream of Thought that costs like 5 mana altogether.
Yeah, but this is like turn 20 when I've killed every creature in their deck and I'm about to deck myself. It was just like a 4-color deck with like Astrolabes, Ren and Sixes, and just removal. So
it sounds so miserable, but also kind of cool.
But it was cool because I rare drafted the Ren and Sixes. They were not good in draft, but I took there's like some cards that sacrifice lands as the theme. So I had like Forgotten Caves as well. So it was cool.
Cool.
So that's my good memory of them. And then so I had like 2 really cool like GP stamped ones that I played with, but. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I wasn't that into it in Legacy, as I said.
So yeah, it turns out Ren and Six was banned, and then sometime after also Oko was banned, but that's not our very next ban. Actually, very quickly, because that was one of the most powerful announcements they could ever put out there, because when they banned Ren and Six, they cited a couple of numbers, and that kind of puts it into perspective why they would ban it so shortly before a Legacy GP. Not only did it have like a 56.5% win rate, but, and quoting Wizards here, most importantly, it has a favorable matchup against each of the other 10 most played decks. Like, have we ever seen that? Holy shit.
That's a wild stat.
How do we have a favorable matchup against the 10 most played decks in Legacy?
Yeah. It was just so generically good. Like, you had to play basics, otherwise they'll just Ren and Six Wasteland lock you. And then, I don't know, like, not many good decks play a lot of basics, really. Like, Control was I don't know. Yeah, it was tough. I don't even know what was good against it. Nothing was, because they told us that.
I think some people said that like lands was supposed to be good, but it was not. Nothing really. Apparently to the data, nothing. But I mean, there's data, and then there's Magic players.
It didn't even feel like a extraordinarily powerful deck. Like, playing against Ren and Six didn't feel like playing against Treasure Cruise, because Treasure Cruise was like, shit, I'm behind, and then you kind of get run over and lose. Ren and Six was this like really slow grind, and like they would get a few lands back, and I don't know, the deck didn't feel good to me. It didn't feel strong when I was playing against it or with it, but it just was. I guess the format just felt lower power than it has been a lot of the time. Does that make sense to you?
Interesting.
I mean, it also had Oko, so yeah.
Yeah, because Oko came a little bit later, and Oko definitely took a while to catch on, because not to like try and say I was the first one to do it, but like I was one of the first people that I knew that was playing Oko, and the first time I plussed on a chalice and then sourced the chalice, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy, this is so cool. And I remember posting on Twitter and no one else was playing it, and then it picked up pretty quickly, and then it made me sell half my collection because I hated Snoko so much.
So the thing about Ren and Six is, I think part of it at very least is it's a 2-mana Planeswalker that plus ones for card advantage.
Yeah, so it got out of bolt range straight away was the big thing, right?
And then on top of that, it also had some like utility, as in like attacking the board, and also like having a really good ultimate.
Yeah.
And all of that for 2 mana, while, as you mentioned, like being right out of bolt range.
Yeah.
Tough. Really tough.
Feels like a little bit similar to like Tamiyo now, actually, where Tamiyo feels similar-ish, but Tamiyo gets blasted on both sides. If Ren and Six could get like Pyroblasted, it might even still be legal, honestly. I don't know.
But if there were like more good 2-drops, then maybe Spell Snare could have come back, because then you can like Spell Snare, Ren and Six on a draw. But I mean,
but there's nothing else. There's still just days it just doesn't. It never. Yeah.
And then you force a full the days, and your opponent's like, lol, untapped, another Ren and Six.
Yeah, that was it. Like, it felt like such a slog to kill the first one. Sometimes you have to like attack it. It was also the whole thing of like X1s just kind of fell out of favor.
Basically being banned from the format, kind of.
Yeah. Like, I still think you could play elves and stuff. You could play multiple X1s, and then, the Ren and Six decks would rely on Ren and Six being good against X1s, so they wouldn't have harsher hate. But if you were playing like Mother of Runes or something, or Thalia, it just
especially on the draw. Like I remember some of the very best players of that rug deck, they would say in the mirror match on the draw, you just have to side out Jalva. And maybe even on the play, but on the draw very much. Like it's just like there's no world where you like go John 1 Jalva on the draw.
Makes sense. Or like just not play it till turn 1,000,000 or just pitch to Force Will. But
or find a spot for it, and even if you do, then it's still like
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's Red and 6 Gun. And then it only took, this is basically where the band started speeding up. Then it took only like another 4 or 5 months until we got the next ban. And that's the last one for this episode today. And that one, in March 2020, a card that not a lot of people actually got to play with just because of COVID. And that is Underworld Breach. And I know, Callum, you loved that card very dearly.
Yeah. So... this one, I think...
that side right before you get into it.
I do love it, but I think this is the most wrong I've been about a card ever by so far, like in working it out.
That's big coming from the person who said counter-evidence should have been banned instead.
But like generally with new cards, I think I'm okay at working out if they're good or not. But not amazing. I'll definitely have some misses, but I didn't think Underworld Breach was that good. I think a lot of people had my same train of thought where it was like, okay, it's bad against... Graveyard Hate, it's bad against Abrupt Decay or just killing it or whatever. I felt like it was just, there's too many things that it was just too easy to interact with. What I completely miss is it's just a 1-card combo. Like that, I mean, it sounds stupid now, but I remember Max Gilmore, Max Distortion being very high on it and trying to convince me, and I just couldn't get it. I didn't believe it, and I was so unfathomably wrong about Breach, because I think it's the best legacy deck of all time, most powerful.
Yeah. I think like among all the 7 cards we talked about today, I think this is by far the strongest card. I mean, they're all strong, right? But Underworld Breach is just so...
It kind of felt
unfair.
Like playing Vintage and Legacy, right?
Yeah,
it did. It's so hard to interact, I think, sometimes. It's so easy to fit into a deck. Like, it doesn't take up a lot of slots either. And it can also be played as a value card too. It can also close out the game immediately.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like when your opponent resolves this like mid game, you're doomed.
Yeah, imagine like if you could cast your Infernal Tutors to kill the opponent, but at times you could also just like cast it to draw 5 cards.
Yeah, it was also just how utterly broken LED was with it, because so many times you'd resolve the breach with an LED in play, and then you sack the LED and you've discarded your hand. But this is where Ant or other like kind of graveyard-based combo decks would be weak to Graveyard Hate, but you could just have a Flusterstorm in your graveyard, and it's active. It's there. So often I would just not even care about a Surgical Extraction or like a what is it called? Not Archive Trap. The Ravenous Trap. People would play these cards to try and beat it, but the Flusterstorm would then you just discard it to the LED, and you've got all the cards from the LED discarding in as well. So it was so hard to stop. And then my worry about Abrupt Decay was very quickly quashed because of Orym's Chant being kind of cracked in the deck as well. And then it was just because it's a 1-card combo and your combo is so compact. Like the combo is just, for anyone that doesn't know, is Underworld Breach in play. Then with an LED or a Lotus Petal, you Brain Freeze, and you Brain Freeze your whole deck. And then you can either Brain Freeze the opponent, or you'd often play 1 Lightning Bolt in the main deck, because then you could bolt them out if they played like a Emrakul, so you couldn't mill them. But it was just so compact. And then it was this Jeskai colored deck that could play 4 basics as well, so you just play basics off it, and then you side into Mentors. So I actually won a showcase challenge with this deck because I hadn't played it before, but I played against it tons. I always wanted to be like the anti-meta person, so I was trying to play like bug decks with Chalices and main deck Collector Reefs and stuff, and it kind of worked. But then the morning of the showcase, I messaged Marcus Evold saying like, can you just send me the list, we'll play the same thing. He sent me the list. It had like predicts as well, very Marcusy, and then we met in the finals later in the day. And it was just
actually I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
It was very perfect. But the thing was, I lost tons of game 1s and won every single sideboard game. Then obviously, if I lost the game 1s, because you would keep some of the combo, but then you would mentor people. I know it's like boring to say, and it's such a classic kind of switch for the combo decks, but that was a big part of the brokenness of the deck. You could just side into such a good. You just have Force, Swords to Plowshares, and cantrips and mentors, and then if you have to bring in the removal for the mentors, and if not, you still have like Orym's Chance. Like often you'd win by like, play mentor, cantrip, upkeep Orym's Chant them, and then you just kill them with mentor the next turn as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a disgusting deck, but
yeah.
The
The thing is, I look at the card again, and I feel like the big flavor loss that led to the card being so, or flavor fail, I want to say, that led to the card being so broken is, it's supposed, like the whole idea is, these creatures, they come back from the underworld, they have escape, they leave the graveyard, they come onto the battlefield, but all these instants and sorceries and stuff, they would just stay there, right? I mean, technically they go to the stack, but then they go back. They don't really escape.
Yeah.
So
it needed the Yawgmoth's Will clause of like,
either that or just make it for at least creatures, if not permanents. Mm-hmm. But don't let us replay instants and sorceries, because that's just like so stupid.
Yeah, it was. And this is, I think, one of the shortest legal cards ever. It's just under 2 months. It's like 6 weeks, I think. It came out mid-ish, later January, banned March 20th. So this is why I think it hasn't. I mean, a lot of people liked it, but if it was legal for much longer, I'm sure I would hate it as well. And
Yeah, like wasn't it like this powerful that people even didn't talk about Uro and Thassa's Oracle and like all the other cards that came with the Theros set? Because like the Theros set was I think was pretty good. Yeah, a lot of cool cards in it, like powerful cards in it.
You would say that, Mr. Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah, but like Uro too. Like Uro was like for the longest time. It's like the control card, right?
I thought that Uro should be banned at points.
I did too, totally, 100%. I thought that it should have been banned, like in a couple of ban announcements, and I'm very biased against it. It's like completely not Magic I like to play, so I still hate it. So but I think at some points there was an argument for it being banned in Legacy, but I'm glad they didn't, because it's obviously fine now. So they were right and I was wrong. But Underworld Breach was. It was a weird time during COVID where, not many people played it. And God.
Wasn't that also the time? No, Serda and the other one.
That was Lurrus. That was a little later. Yeah,
they came out later, just afterwards.
Ikoria.
Yeah, because we never had the time where you could play Lurrus with Breach.
Are we gonna? we gotta talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah,
like in 2 or 3 years or whenever it's time. But. Yeah, but Breach was wild. Was wild because I think whenever there's the best deck and there is just no good way to fight the best deck, then we got a problem. I think.
Yeah, in some way, I think it's quite unanimous that people are like, it's banned for a reason. It feels like, okay, we got to take a lot of drugs for a couple of months. And then it's over. Wizards was like, okay, you had your fun. There was COVID, right? So do whatever you like at home, get drunk, but now we ban it. It's enough, right?
Maybe it's just me, but I love having like a kind of cracked format for a month, but it's only a short period of time. So as long as it's just short, it's fine.
But you like abusing people.
But so I only played Breach in like these 2 tournaments. I played like a challenge the weekend after the Showcase Challenge. Then I played a few leagues, but I think I played like 5 or 6 leagues. So I didn't actually play more than 30 matches or something with it. But I loved how the deck played. But I was trying to beat it for ages. Like I think I did make a good deck against it. I built actually, funny you say this, you said Mox Diamond earlier in the thing. I built a Mox Diamond deck to beat it, which was like, it was like Black Green or Bug Zenith with main deck Chalices and stuff. And it did beat it.
Ooh, Bug Zenith. That was like what got second place at the GP right before, right?
It was kind of similar.
With Gilded Goose and stuff.
It wasn't like that.
It's so funny. Like the first, like it's the
Gilded Goose beats Breach.
The first card, like the deck representative is Gilded Goose. Like there were like so many other cool cards other than Gilded Goose.
Yeah, but like everybody knows about like, I don't know, Icefang Codal and stuff, but Gilded Goose, man, that was something else.
Yeah.
We also played like Bug Food Chain with Gilded Goose and stuff.
You know what? I found the deck that I was playing then, and it did have 2 Gilded Goose in.
See, great minds think alike, and Callum as well.
Yeah, or maybe it's a different one. I don't know. I'm sure it was wrong. You should have just been playing Breach if you wanted to win, but I don't know. Yeah. That was I found it.
I think I'm with you when you say that. Like, you want powerful cards for like a month maybe or 2, just because deck building or like brewing is really interesting. That like I'm 100% on with you on this. I like brewing with powerful cards is very fun. Yeah. It's just like after a while, like once the brewing is done, it kind of gets repetitive, right?
It gets stale, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not what we want. But like the first, like it's always exciting to have something new and like to find out like new techs and like secret things and blah blah blah.
Just like the best example is our reactions to us talking about Underworld Breach is like excitement. It was kind of cool versus our reaction to talking about Treasure Cruise, which was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because one was legal for months, one was legal for like a couple of months, and it's quite a difference.
Yeah, the thing is like Treasure Cruise, it's just like it keeps you hitting on the head with like a blunt hammer. Whereas Underworld Breach, it's just like does this fancy dance all around
just
you,
one
and then
hit.
it just eventually kills you with like one stroke of its sword or something. And that's a lot more exciting than just like being hammered to death or something.
Yeah. Also, Jax has got his favorite Photoshop ever from Underworld Breach, where I only lost one match in that showcase challenge to him, and it was because I was either one mana short or one card in my graveyard short of killing him, and I had to concede.
It's very exciting to hear about.
I'm sure, yeah. It stays with me forever. But did you two play with Breach at all?
Almost nothing.
No.
I did.
Like with it or against it?
I played with it. I played a couple of mirror matches, and I actually quite enjoyed the mirror matches because it was
fun.
like this. It was because it was like this Orm's Chant, Force of Will, like mentor, like how many mentors do you play, blah blah blah, mirror. Yep. It was really like chess.
Dude, I was gonna bring up chess.
It was really hard to play and interesting. Like it was set up. The first 3 turns were cantrips and setting up and like getting things ready and Orm's Chant was just a hammer.
Also, like any matchup where you have fat stacks, that's my cup of tea. Like if you have the fat like
PH?
like
PH.
Yes, and all capital, of course.
And STAX.
Yes.
Cool.
Double X. Yeah.
It's true though. Like,
but like any interaction stack that goes like beyond 5 or 6 is just, dude.
Yeah.
Sugar.
And, I mean, this was like a Flusterstorm mirror as well as the Orm's Chant mirror. So it's like we were talking about Dig Through Time earlier, where we recognized that it was interesting gameplay if we were both on the same power level. So the same thing here. We're both playing this cracked in half deck, and so then it was fun and interesting, and that's what makes for me lots of exciting games because I love stack magic for sure, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
Julian with his elves in the corner. Yeah.
All right.
No, dude, we had some amazing stacks. People never see the second, I don't know, Wirewood's activation coming or something. And or bouncing your Renswarm Packmaster to get back your Elfish Visionary to draw your Mindbreak Trap.
And the Gilder Goose making a food token.
Yeah, that's the most exciting thing, I guess. Right? Dude, I hated when I played with Oko and Dren and 6 when I shuffled like those stupid food tokens into my deck and then I draw them in the opening hand. You're like, oh god, shut, it happened again.
You deserve that for playing those horrible cards.
I do, very much.
like out of all these different like stages of Legacy, like can you pick like one favorite?
You mean out of the ones we discussed today?
Yeah, out of the ones we discussed today. Just like I'm just,
so
I'm
it's
just
definitely
really
after April 23rd, 2007. Dude, I almost guessed it right. It was April 24th. I can't believe that I almost still remember the day the top was banned. I guess 23rd of April, but it was 24th. Anyway,
it says 17 on the show notes. No,
2017.
No, it says 2017.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
I didn't include the day because I figured
that
like
was
whatever.
A year.
Yeah,
okay.
Kai, we did not.
Anyway, whoopsies.
How do you guys remember the year? It's just the year. It says.
For me, my favorite period was actually like after Dig Through Time was banned, and then kind of through until Ren 6 was done. Not because I enjoyed the cards very much, but I think that was when I was getting better at Legacy and so involved with it and just spent all my time thinking about it and talking about it and playing it, and it was just my whole life. So yeah, those times, not specific at the cards, but when I was playing like Miracles and Charlotte's and stuff.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
It's actually pretty tough because this basically frames the time that I played a lot back then. This is really tough. So I guess, after Dig Through Time was banned and before Sense Divining Top was banned, part of it is like, I guess I'm kind of biased because that was by far my most successful period, by far. But yeah, I guess it is between the ban of Dig Through Time in 2015 and the ban of Sense Divining Top in 2017. I also, actually, you know what? Between the ban of Dig Through Time in 2015 and the ban of Deathrite Shaman in 2018.
I was gonna say that probably, right? Like, because like especially after Top got banned, you had a little bit of time to like, fully abuse Deathrite Shaman, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that was when I went off on like my trying to make miracles still a thing phase. Remember Portent?
Oh yeah. Port predict all that.
Yeah. I love.
I still remember when Death by Shaman was banned. The very first card market tournament in Prague, right afterwards. I think it was won by Elves. I don't remember the player's name, but I would recognize him if I see him. But I think it was actually won by him. And I was even
it's not the one
finals.
That plays like 76 cards, was it?
No, dude. That's a crazy French guy.
Okay.
He went up all the way to 82 the cards in the main deck, and he would like win like last chance trials with it, and he got like top 16 or top 8 at Basharov Moxon with the 76 card deck.
I always remember seeing the lists,
cool.
and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But, hey.
Right.
He knew Yorion was coming.
He wasn't a Yorion deck before Yorion.
I feel so bad for not remembering his name right now, because for years I used to remember his name because I appreciated the madness so much.
It wasn't Johan, was it?
No. Maybe I will remember his name.
Yeah.
Remember his name at some point. I just loved it so much when he had 82 cards. He still told me he cannot find space for the 4th heritage shoot in the format. What is going on?
I fucking love that. Respect. Like, yeah.
Anyways, guys, should we call it a day here?
I think so.
I agree. Yeah.
I think we straight up just like released the episode as this. This was a great episode. This is like, one of those episodes. Actually, no, now we talk about, oh god, yeah, this episode was you were really good there. Yeah, I laughed when you laughed there. And so yeah, this is not the kind of podcast I want to run.
Just wait until we rank Kai's outfits for the next one.
I already have the show notes for that set up with like pictures.
It's getting a bit weird.
Man, it'd be so funny if you can get like all the pictures of all of us during as many
different
GPs,
eras.
Yeah, as possible. That'd be kind of.
When I think of Kai, like the very first image I have of you is like when you were wearing that Rockstar hoodie back in like 2013, 14 in Berlin when I came to the Hotbox to play Legacy.
Oh yeah, dude. I was a Rock Delver player at heart.
Yeah. And we talked about, right, how JPA, Jonathan Andrelescu was there as well, and he was like the new beginner, and I played against him in the second round after losing to you in the first round.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because I only presented like 50 cards, and at some point, like I saw like half my deck on the floor, and I was like, oh dude, I just...
Yeah, you were like babies back then, yeah.
Well, I guess you and JPA was for sure. He was like, I don't know, 5 years old or something. It's totally crazy. And then he grew up to become the Crusher. That was quite something. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna fly to Egypt to the day after tomorrow. Then I'm gonna try not to kill myself, and I'm actually serious about that because, like, apparently kitesurfing is like, well, we will see how that works. Then I'm gonna be back and looking forward to looking at the results of Eternal Weekend US.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of us are gonna be at Eternal Weekend Prague. And the Japanese one already happened. So yeah, this episode is actually going to release from now 1 week in advance. So Eternal Weekend US will already have happened. So if you're listening to this, don't worry. We will talk about this in the next episode. So you'll still get to hear our beautiful opinions on everything that is broken right now. But with that, if you want to support the running of the show, you can support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, or I think these days, even more importantly, Spotify. Or you can support us, of course, by hitting us up on patreon.com/everydayeternal, just like all of our beautiful supporters who, by quite the majority, guessed that Kai is the one getting married. I took that personally. But yeah, thank you so much, especially to our Eternal Witness tier supporters, Franco Boli, Kane, Colin Garassi, Alex Crow, Tim Everett, Testakila, Sebastian Holaga, Guillaume, Sean Dewey, Stephen Bush, Jim Monolith, Francis Kauper, Cassandra Davis, Rachel Sciarra, Connor Clark, Tom Tischka, Benedikt Huber, and Severin Schwarzhuber. Benedikt Gruber, I'm sorry, not Huber. And our top Charizard tier supporters, Evan Lazar, Tom Happ, Harry Houdini MTG, Ian Seefeld, Joe Brennan, and Colonoscopy. Thank you so much, and hopefully see you in Prague. Say hello.
Yep. Ciao.
See ya.
Bye-bye.